be some strong winds there. So we've got the severe thunderstorm warnings for much of Stevens County, probably the western 2/3 now of Palo Pinto County, including Strawn and Chad, and just about all of Eastland County as well, with that wind and hail threat. Although clearly the largest hail is with that lead supercell. That's the long-lived rotating storm on the east side of Breckenridge right now that's producing the largest hail and likely the strongest winds, and also the potential of a developing tornado.
Yeah, and I continue to look at that, and I think we're losing more and more, at least the view of the tornadic part of that storm, the rotation, at least in the lowest levels of the scan. I'm sure they're very much still existent in the...
it looks broad now to me. Yeah.
Because now this is Fort Worth radar, so we're looking at a different angle. And remember, that was real tight for a second. The greens and the reds were really close and really high. Now we're seeing that. And now just coming from Fort Worth Weather Service, they're going to let that tornado warning expire once the time comes up with it. I believe that warning officially went till 7:30. So hopefully that means that the tornadic threat with that is going down.
Yeah, and again, these things tend to be cyclical in nature. This was the same storm, if I'm not mistaken, that did, produce some rotation earlier. And so that rotation tends to strengthen over time. It gets tighter, and that's when the National Weather Service usually gets really concerned, and they issue a warning. And now it looks like that rotation has weakened, and it's not as tight as it was before. So that rotation's kind of broadening out a little bit. And when that happens, the tornado threat tends to really lessen. And so hopefully that's a good, encouraging sign, at least short-term sign with this particular storm.
Yes, indeed. Certainly good to see at least the tornadic rotation with that come down, though these storms are still very, very mean. Again, potential is there for some gusts reaching up to 65 miles per hour because we saw that 67 mile per hour range. So let me go ahead and put a big track on this here and put it at about 45 miles per hour. And you can kind of see where that takes you. I want to include Stephenville in there. It doesn't want to trigger. There we go. And so that kind of gives you a heads up for folks in Palo Pinto, Parker, parts of Erath County, that this could be knocking on your doorstep between that 8-9 o'clock time frame.
Yeah, and this is, about the time that we said, for our western counties in that 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. time frame is when we expect the most active period of weather. And so looking on the outer edges there, Mineral Wells, after 8 o'clock, Stephenville, 8:24. You can kind of extrapolate, and as we head closer to 9 o'clock, and certainly by 9:30, that's when I expect western portions of the Metroplex to see this line of storms pushing in from the west, bringing the wind and potential hail threat. Over time, I think, as we go through this evening, this is going to become more of a wind rather than hail threat. Sure, there will be hail embedded within the line of storms, but I think wind will likely overtake hail as kind of the primary threat as we go through the 9, 10, 11 o'clock hour tonight. But always, again, within these lines of storms, you can get little areas of embedded rotation, and you can get spin-up tornadoes. And those can be really hard sometimes to diagnose and predict because they can show up on one radar scan or two and then disappear. And so they tend to not last too long, but obviously, being a tornado, they can cause certainly some significant damage in a short period of time. So that's something we'll have to really keep our eyes on as the evening progresses.
And so I'm looking at some of the latest sounding data that just came in. So the 0Z sounding, of course, National Weather Service sends this up around 6 p.m. We just got the data back from it. This is in Fort Worth, and our cap continues to weaken as expected, and there's still an elongated photograph. So still a lot of spin in our atmosphere that's feeding this. So the wind, the hail, the potential for a spin-up tornado, that's all going to continue as this line works through.
Yeah, the cap pretty much held through the afternoon. That was very evident. We had those showers and storms percolating, especially to the east of the Metroplex, that just kind of gotten battened down by the cap itself. But the cap is weakening, and this is a very strong upper-level low that's approaching, and so the lift associated with this disturbance is going to push us right through. Yeah, and that's some impressive turning of the low-level winds there. What we mean by that is that the surface winds are generally southeast. You go up about 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. Now they're more out of the south. You go up to about 3,000 feet, and they're blowing more southwest. So the winds are literally turning with height, and it's what we call that low-level wind shear, especially in the lowest 1,000 to 2,000 feet of the atmosphere, that gives us at least a concern that there is a potential for some spin-up tornadoes this evening.
Now, one thing, I'm kind of looking off screen at another radar just to kind of keep an eye on storms as they're moving through, as we're talking about certain spots and then other spots. Look at some of the readings coming in off the radar in Abilene now. This is going to be right along the Eastland-Stephens County line, and this is what will eventually be working in to parts of Palo Pinto and potentially Erath County as well. I'm going to query some of these velocities here, Dan, and just look at some of these that are coming across now. So, I'm on the wrong source. My bad.
No, you're right.
Let me
okay.
fix that, and we'll go over to Dias, and you can see. Look at that. Now we're seeing not only those pinks and those purples that we were talking about, but also some of the yellows. And Dan, on that color table, that is around 70 to 80 mile per hour winds.
Now, again, these aren't necessarily surface winds.
Mm-hmm.
They might be above the ground 1,000 or 2,000 feet, and so the potential certainly is there that they maintain most of this strength as those winds push down towards the surface. But that certainly is very impressive. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of wind being generated by this line of storms, and it's obviously for good reason that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect with winds showing up on radar like that. So that's obviously just one of the multiple concerns. But also, again, I think as we head through time here this evening, wind is going to be our primary threat, then potentially hail, and obviously the concern for a couple of spin-up tornadoes. The tornado watch is in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. At this point in time, it does not include Dallas or Tarrant counties, but we do expect another watch to be issued that will cover additional North Texas counties, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's not a guarantee that it'll be a tornado watch. It could potentially be a severe thunderstorm watch. Right now, if I was a betting man, though, I would say that they would probably issue another tornado watch based on some of the low-level turning of the winds that we've seen there.
I certainly agree. And there's the tornado watch. It's outlined there in the red. Now, within that, we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. I believe, it looks like they allowed that tornado warning to expire that was in part. And they actually canceled it early looking at it because I believe it was going until 7:30.
7:30, yeah.
So thankfully that has been canceled early. But as well, we have a new report coming in that there was baseball size hail observed in that cell near near Caddo. Brad is in Palo Pinto County. Caddo is in Stephens County. So that just occurred. But that red box I've popped up, or at least the red counties, that's that tornado watch you were speaking of that goes until 11 p.m. tonight. So
Denton County, Cook County, Grayson County, Parker County, down through the Granbury and Glen Rose areas till 11 o'clock. Now, there will likely be another watch issued that includes Dallas and Tarrant counties, I'm sure, Johnson and Ellis counties, Collin counties. I haven't seen any new updates from the National Weather Service chat session, but they'll likely pull the trigger on that, I would think, in the next hour or so, just based on where those storms are currently and the direction they're moving. So I would anticipate it's going to come out here within the hour, that new watch for additional counties here in North Texas. Again, the severe thunderstorm warnings outlined there in yellow. We no longer have the tornado warning in effect. The rotation that prompted that tornado warning. Now, did they just put another tornado warning, or is that old now? Do you see that?
Yeah, I do see that, but I think
that could be...
That disappeared on my off radar. Let me go ahead and go in the chat and see if there's anything that came across. They're now saying wind gusts to 80 miles per hour are possible there. So tornado warning will expire at 7:30. So that warning just has not dropped from our system here, but the warning is at least no longer a threat according to the National Weather Service. However, these storms could still produce 80-mile-per-hour winds in Palo Pinto and Stephens County. So that is going to cause just as much damage in some cases as an EF1 or an EF0 tornado. So,
Yeah, a lot of people always say, well, it's not a tornado warning, it's a severe thunderstorm warning. Folks, wind is wind. It doesn't matter if it's rotating or if it's blowing straight. It still has a lot of force behind it when it's blowing at 80 miles an hour. And those are destructive winds right now. And we're keying in an area here in eastern Stephens County. And those high winds on the leading edge of that line blowing into western and northwestern Palo Pinto County. So heads up if you live up around the Possum Kingdom Lake area. Into western portions of Palo Pinto County. Notice now we've brought up the other radar product here.
We have.
Those purple and yellow colors, that's your 70 and 80 mile an hour winds that are being detected by Doppler radar. Now, again, the radar beam goes out, so these aren't surface winds, but they're probably maybe only about 1,500 to 2,000 feet above ground level. And that indicates to us that we could see some very, very strong winds making it down to the surface as well. So, and as you put it, that's as strong as an EF0 tornado, 80 mile an hour winds.
And we still have a little bit of broad rotation showing up right there just south of that Highway 180 sign. That's still that supercell, but what I'm showing is this broad area. Notice it's broadened out too. So that tells me now you have a bigger area that could see those 70-plus mile-per-hour winds potentially working down the surface. Now, it's no guarantee, and it looks like they just issued a new warning.
Yeah, so they've extended this warning farther east now, so that warning now goes all the way through southern Palo Pinto County, so you folks in Strawn, in Gordon, just about all the way to Millsap and Lipan. So they stop it right at the Parker County line for now. That's our new severe thunderstorm warning. And do they have 80 mile an hour winds on that as well? Or
they do.
70?
This is querying the other warning. So this is now up to 80, according to the National Weather Service. This warning now up to 80. So that goes until 8 p.m. At 7:29, a severe thunderstorm located 7 miles south of Caddo or 10 miles north of Ranger, moving east at 60 miles per hour. This is a destructive storm for Strawn, Mingus, and Gordon. So I'm going to manipulate this just a little bit so that you can see the warning I'm talking about. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. It's trying to jump on me a second, so I got to really hone in here. And I'm going to get rid of these two warnings. And what will happen is it's going to query the one that is considered destructive. So there it is, and that is still querying 70 miles per hour. But I'm telling you, this cell right here, this part that's jumped out, there it goes. So that includes the Strawn and the Gordon community there. 80 mile per hour winds now possible with that cell. So this is 80 mile per hour winds and nickel sides hail that is possible with this cell here in Palo Pinto and Stephens County. So I will go ahead and I'm going to turn this off, and I want to put a track so that we can see this cell better. This part of the storm has accelerated. Remember, we were talking about how when these storms bow out, that wind juts out quicker. This has now accelerated to where this part of the cell is producing the potential for 80 mile per hour winds. And if we were to draw a track on that, that is now running at 60 miles per hour because this part of the storm has accelerated. So here's the current part of the storm that we're tracking that has that potential for 80 mile per hour winds, and we'll put that on there. This stretch of the storm has the potential for 80 mile per hour winds, would near Brad by around 740, Strawn by around 742, Gordon at 750, Brazos at 802, and Millsap by around 808. So this is the part of the storm I'm talking about. I want to go back to velocity and trigger this part of the storm. That is where we have that potential for 80 mile per hour winds with this storm. So I'm going to query a couple of these spots. And again, this does not include the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but our counties just to the west. We know that you're part of our area. We are covering this storm to let you know that the potential is there for 70 to 80 mile per hour winds now with this part of the cell that's going to be working through parts of southern Palo Pinto County. So if you've been out to Palo Pinto County, you know that you start off coming in from the east from Dallas-Fort Worth. You go through Brock, which is in Parker County. Santo is in this warning. It's right where 281 meets 20. If you continue further down 20, there's a community called Thurber that's just in Erath County. It's right about where that 20 is. From Thurber to Gordon to Strawn and including Lake Palo Pinto. Lake Palo Pinto is south of Palo Pinto. That's that reservoir that shows up right there. There's a lot of homes that have recently been built in there that are some more fancy homes. Those have the potential to get these gusty winds, and this is where the radar is now showing that threat. So I'm going to track this off. I'm going to get out a tweet and get this out on social media as well as that continues working off to the east. I want to go ahead and get this out on social media and let folks know, if they aren't already tuning in to this Fox local broadcast, that that resource is there so that we can continue to track this down to street level in your community, in your neighborhoods. So let me go ahead and get that tweet out as well. So that's going to be 7:34 p.m. Potential for 80-mile-per-hour winds as this cell works east at 60 miles per hour from Strawn through Gordon as well as Brazos. So I'll get this out. Strawn through Gordon and into Santo. Live coverage on the Fox Local app. So we will get that. We'll get this out there so that we can continue to track this for you and continue to let your neighbors know. You can find this post, you can share this, and that way your neighbors know they can also find on the Fox Local app. So here's the cell we're watching. I'm going to switch back to the mode of the radar you're more accustomed to. That is reflectivity. So see if it takes. It looks like it took a second, but I'm going to loop this over the last hour, and you can really see this part of the storm kind of jump ahead. So let me go ahead and trigger this for the last hour. And there it is. You can see how that part of the storm really jutted out. So you had this main part of the storm down near Eastland moving. Notice how that quickly filled in across southern Stephens County. This is now entering Strawn. So it looks like that radar data is dropping out a bit. So I'm going to switch to the Fort Worth mode of the radar, and you can really pick out that. Let me also show how much lightning is in here, because there has been some really prolific lightning. If you just loop this back, watch how this lightning's really been going. Each of these lightning strikes is in the last 15 minutes. Where you see more of a yellow color to that lightning strike bolt, that is where we have seen a positive lightning strike. Those are the ones that carry the higher charge. They're more dangerous. They're also the more loud and percussive strikes. When you see a lot of those, that's a very intense storm. That is what is now working into southern Palo Pinto County. So again, from Ranger up I-20 through Thurber, Gordon, into Strawn, and eventually towards Brock, this cell will be working in. So we will be monitoring all of that very closely. I'm going to put a loop on this again. Let's put a loop on this over the last hour, and you can really see how that filled in quickly. Again, this is going to be working towards Strawn and Gordon. Now, there is a highway that runs here through Strawn, Mingus, and Gordon. I believe this is a state highway. It doesn't want to be labeled. Let me see if I can trigger the label on it real quick. And if there is any sort of delay, I apologize. The internet that is connecting me to the system is dropping out just a little bit. So let me get the trigger. And this is Highway 108. So 108 actually goes from Thurber here. It actually runs from Stephenville through Huckabee and then up through Thurber. Now it approaches Strawn. There's another highway right here, Mingus. This is 193. So that goes through Strawn, Mingus, and Gordon. Those are communities that will be impacted by this potential for 80-mile-per-hour winds as this cell continues to work off to the east. So let me go ahead and get rid of all these extra labels so that we can see those communities again. So that's approaching Strawn and Gordon. We'll go back to the velocity mode of the radar. And I also want to check out the hail course. So let me move over to the hail core real quick, because we did have that reported baseball-size hail on the eastern side of Stephens County. That is now moving towards the community of Brad. Right where that's on top of you there, where you see that 180 label, that is the community of Brad in western parts of Palo Pinto County. This is passing just south of PK Lake, at least the strongest part of the storm. So we will have to monitor that closely. But as of right now, thankfully, the rotation has dropped with that. And the main concern with this line of storms continues to be that potential for very gusty winds. So here's the Fort Worth radar. It's giving me some bad data. Ignore what you're seeing there. I'm going to switch over to what we call the Dias radar. That's coming out of Abilene. And notice how we're seeing more of the darker brown show up within that light kind of yellow color. This is likely where winds are exceeding 70 miles per hour now. So I'm going to query some of the data on this. And again, this is going to be just above the ground. So not a guarantee this is reaching the ground, but it kind of gives you an idea of what this cell is capable of. So query that data there, and you can tell that is now showing 78 miles per hour. This is the highest reading I've seen so far. And to give you an idea of where that is, if you're in the community of Strawn right now, here's Strawn, and Strawn is going to be about 5 miles southeast of where this 78 mile per hour reading on radar is. That means you're likely at least seeing 70 mile per hour winds reach towards ground. So that will be something to definitely monitor as that is approaching Strawn. There's Highway 180. Here's a road. I believe this is Highway 16. Let me go ahead and query it and double check that, though. I believe this is Highway 16. So let me go ahead and query that, and that is Highway 16. So Highway 16 runs from Strawn up to Brad and eventually up towards PK Lake and towards Graham. So at this time, this is Highway 16 north of Strawn. This is going to be very near that new Palo Pinto Mountain State Park that they just developed there in parts of Palo Pinto County, where we are seeing that threat now of the potential for some 70 to 80 mile per hour winds there in extreme southern parts, or extreme southwestern parts, rather, of Palo Pinto County. So I'll put a track on this again at about 60 miles per hour, give you an idea when this could move in. I'm going to track it all the way out I-20 towards Brock, just to give you an idea of where this could move into parts of Parker County. 740 at Strawn, 7048 now at Gordon, 801 at Brazos, 807 for Millsap and Dennis. Dennis is a community that's not far from Brock. It's a little further south than Brock. That is going to be at 813. This will eventually also work towards Santos. Santos not on the map there, but Santos is going to be very close to where Highway 281 meets I-20. If you've ever been out there, the Maverick travel stop, if you happen to know that, there's also a Stripes right there. So both of those communities, it will be approaching that area by around 8 o'clock. So if you have friends and family traveling down I-20 from Fort Worth towards Abilene, if you know that they are going to be heading in that direction, you can give them a general idea that this will be near Santo and the Maverick travel stop closer to around that 8 o'clock time frame. So that kind of gives you a reference point to tell folks. And you can't miss this. When you come out of Weatherford, big old tall signs for this. That is what you see coming down of Weatherford towards Rangers. So something to be watching if you do have friends that are traveling down I-20 that direction. If this does continue to hold its current speed, we can go ahead and track that even further out, where that is there close to Strawn. We can track that further out, and that could potentially be impacting Weatherford closer to 8:30. So we're going to take a quick break real quick. We'll be back with more live coverage of severe weather that is impacting North Texas here on the Fox Local app. Thanks for staying with us.
Weather Center. We're breaking into an intermission because we've got some very strong thunderstorms that have prompted warnings out to the west of Dallas and Fort Worth. Let's take the graphics here. There's our tornado watch in effect for Denton County, Cook County, Grayson County, and points west until 11 o'clock. I do think we're going to see another watch issued probably within the hour. That will include additional counties, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That line of storms right on cue right now, and they are fierce out to our west right now. Let me go in for a closer look here. These storms that have been moving east through Stevens County, now moving into Palo Pinto County, could be producing wind gusts up to 70 to 80 miles an hour. Notice as well those purple colors there. That's the hail core in this storm itself, where we could be seeing up to golf ball sized hail in the northwestern portion of Palo Pinto County, up around the Possum Kingdom Lake area. And then you folks in Strawn and Gordon are in the path of these very strong, damaging wind gusts. I'll show you those momentarily, but tracking this line of storms off to the east would put the leading edge in Strawn at 753, Mingus at 805, Gordon at 812, Mineral Wells 825, Millsap at 841. Wind gusts maybe up to 80 miles an hour possible, especially along the leading edge of this line of storms. There's our velocity, and where you're seeing those yellow colors, that's the strongest core of winds right now, and they're heading eastward through Ranger, through Strawn, on the way towards Gordon, and that's the main reason why we've got that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Again, keep in mind, 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts as strong as an EF0 tornado, and they are heading due east, especially through southern portions of Palo Pinto County. That's the hail core that I showed you earlier, and where you're seeing the purple colors and kind of the magenta colors, you can look up there on the scale. Could easily be seeing up to golf ball sized hail crossing over now Highway 16 in northwestern Palo Pinto County. So this storm is a dual threat, wind and hail, as it continues rumbling eastward anywhere from about 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now further southward, we've got more severe thunderstorms heading through Eastland County. These are not quite as intense, but they could produce 60 to 65 mile an hour gusts along the leading edge, and that could bring a severe weather threat into Erath County here within the hour as they continue moving eastward. So our most active period of weather will likely be for our western counties from now through 10 o'clock, probably moving into far western portions of the Metroplex maybe as early as 9 o'clock, could lean more towards 9:30, but that 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. time frame is when I see the most active period of weather for not only the Metroplex, but up and down north and south along the I-35 corridor. And then finally, our eastern counties, probably more towards midnight and 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to go back here to radar one more time, and we'll give you a closer look at these severe thunderstorms that continue to rumble off to the east. Again, we're safe right now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, sitting off to the east here, but we're going to get our turn as these storms, this line of storms, continues heading eastward. The strongest portion of this line right now is moving through Palo Pinto County. The northern part of this was actually, it's actually a supercell. That's a rotating, powerful thunderstorm producing the large hail and the damaging winds. And I've just noticed here they have reissued now a tornado warning for that storm that I just zoomed into. Let me query that and give you the updated language on that. So tornado warning now in effect for northern Palo Pinto County until 8:15. At 7:48, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Possum Kingdom Lake, or about 19 miles southeast of Graham, moving northeast at 30. So heads up, if you live anywhere in northern and northeastern Palo Pinto County, take shelter now. Tornado warning.
Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas on a 12-game point streak. They have won 11 of those games and trying to extend it here after a...
All right, good evening, everyone. Dan Henry here, back with some additional weather coverage. We just had a tornado warning issued for the Possum Kingdom Lake in northwestern Palo Pinto County. I've circled the area of rotation there. It is located literally just east of Highway 16 in northwestern Palo Pinto County, northwest of Mineral Wells, pretty much right over Possum Kingdom Lake. Now, this is not a confirmed tornado, but that is a radar indicated rotation that could be showing a developing rotation there in Palo Pinto County. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to put back the reflectivity here on the screen and we'll show you that the storm itself. Let's see, let's get back the rotation. So I'm going to go to our other palette here and put radar on. There we go. And we'll expand the view. So even regardless of whether we see a tornado develop with this, there are some extremely strong winds, 70, maybe as high as 80 miles an hour, accompanying this storm in Palo Pinto County. And these are moving eastward at roughly about 40 miles an hour. So a very high threat of damaging wind gusts if you live here in Palo Pinto County. And so in addition to that tornado warning in red, that smaller red polygon, we also have these yellow polygons for the high wind threat. Again, 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts possible for much of Palo Pinto County as this fierce storm is kind of merged with a line of storms itself, because you can see as I pan down here to the south and west, this line is really taking shape now, stretching down through Eastland County. Now, the winds down here in Eastland County are not quite as intense, kind of 60 to 65 miles an hour, but they will bring a severe weather threat probably within the next 20 to 30 minutes, more than likely into Erath County as they continue moving east. So we're sitting fine for now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but this is the line of storms that we've been advertising would be coming our way, and it will likely be moving into western portions of the Metroplex probably shortly after 9 o'clock, and we'll be under the gun from 9 o'clock maybe until 1 a.m. for very strong winds, some hail, and the possibility of a spin-up tornado or two.
Has been problematic for Vegas since coming back from the Olympics. We don't have that first goal yet in this game. Will it come in the second? We certainly hope for the Dallas Stars side of things. Josh and Razor are next. We'll talk to you after the middle frame.
Miss Anderson, Mr. Jones, the insurance company. I'm the one handling your husband's injury case. Wow, that's a lot of paperwork. Not to worry, this check for $500 should take care of everything.
If you're hurt, never trust the insurance company to pay what's
Meteorologist Josh Johns here on Fox Local. Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry also tracking storms. You just saw a live update from him on Fox 4 News as we continue to kind of balance between the Dallas Stars game and keeping you informed. Now, I will say in the Metroplex right now, things are quiet. It's these storms that are on the west side of North Texas that have been causing the issues. And the most dangerous storm right now continues to be this line of storms that stretches across parts of Palo Pinto and Eastland County, including this portion that is tornado warned, and that is very near PK Lake. So I'm going to mark where PK Lake is right there. There's PK Lake, and you can see this tornado warning that is impacting at least the eastern shores of PK Lake. So if you split PK Lake in half, it's the eastern portion that is under this warning, and that goes until 8:15 p.m. This is radar indicated. We do not have a report of a tornado on the ground at this time, but I'm continuing to watch the view here from the National Weather Service on the chat system, and they have not passed on anything about a tornado on the ground. However, there are a couple of spots here that jump out to me, at least where we could be seeing more enhanced rotation, where that threat is higher for one to potentially touch down. And that's going to be one spot right here. This is going to be right on the east side of PK Lake, and another one right here that may be starting to wrap up a bit here. This is going to be just on the east side of that warning. Still in Palo Pinto County, but certainly will bear watching as that continues to work off to the northeast. So here's the part of the storm that is tornado warned, and we're looking at the wind product. And one area that's a little tight there is going to be right along Highway 16. So there's Highway 16. That snakes up there and eventually goes towards Jacksboro. And it looks like we got a new warning here. This now includes Parker County. So there's that tornado warning, but this entire line of storms has been producing up to 80-mile-per-hour winds with some of these warnings. So here's the newest warning, and this does include Parker County. So let me get the details on this. And that is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. This is radar indicated. So again, no confirmation, at least on the ground, which I imagine we have seen at least some of that try to work to the ground in some spots. Whether or not someone has observed it, the radar is showing the potential, at least, for this storm to produce 70-mile-per-hour winds. So this includes Erath County. It includes Hood County. Granbury, you're under this warning. Morgan Mill, this is passing at least the most dangerous part of the storm, passing north of Stephenville at this time. Lipan, Santo, Mineral Wells, Weatherford, Brock, Aledo under this warning. Springtown under this warning as well. Does not yet include the Metroplex, but Parker County now under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for that potential for half-dollar size hail, as well as 70-mile-per-hour winds. And again, this is radar indicated, but the storms have been continuing to show that threat. So let me go ahead and put a track on this. I'm going to clear the warning and give you a generalized track. Let me see what the forward speed they put on this warning is right now. And the last forward speed we have was 60 miles per hour. Let's see if that's come down a bit. East at 45. So it has come down a little bit, which is good news. So I'm going to put a 45-mile-per-hour track, and I'm actually going to increase it to 50. The reason being is to give you a little bit more lead time so that if this storm does speed up at all, if we get a little portion that gusts out, you get a little idea. So here's that current track. So Mineral Wells, 812. Millsap by around 821. Weatherford right there in Parker County by 835. Azle by 850. And Granbury by around 8:57. So a new severe thunderstorm warning out now. We still have that tornado warning that has been issued for parts of Palo Pinto County. Again, no tornado officially on the ground. However, the rotation remains in that storm. And even though it's lessened a little bit, it's a little bit more broad, it still remains kind of fluctuating where we could see that wrap up. So that's why it continues. But the main threat right now to me appears to be these gusty winds that could reach 70 and in some cases 80-mile-per-hour winds have been possible with this storm. Right now that warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds. And again, that storm will be approaching Mineral Wells by 812, Millsap by 821, Weatherford by 835, Azle by 850, and 857 in the Granbury vicinity. So again, something we are watching for Palo Pinto, Parker, Erath, Eastland, and Hood counties now under that severe thunderstorm warning. Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry is joining. Again, we've been kind of balancing between our digital and our on-air coverage. First, just to reach more people. We know that the app carries a lot of power and reaching some of these communities where maybe the signal struggles or maybe you end up getting in a storm, the satellite knocks out. So that's one advantage we have here. But just to get you up to speed, we have a new warning that's come out now. This officially running until 9 o'clock for Erath, Eastland, Parker, Palo Pinto, and Hood County. So we're starting to see that threat get closer to the Metroplex.
Yeah, that line is kind of overtaken and caught up to that big supercell that's on its north end right now. And Wind is going to be, I think, our primary concern, as we've been saying here, as we head through the rest of this evening. Although you can clearly see the hail core up there just on the west side of Mineral Wells right now. In Palo Pinto County, we also had the tornado warning issued, and this was based on radar-indicated rotation. We don't know if, quite frankly, we may not know if a tornado touched down because it was literally right in the heart of that torrential rain and hail, making it almost impossible to see. I don't know if you can bring up pick 6 in the other weather source. If we
let me see if I can fire this up real quick.
If we go to the other weather source, our Michael Beard, there you are. Michael Beard just shared this video with me, and that's what I was doing here the last few minutes, was loading it into our system. But that's the scene from Grayford tonight. So that gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. Pitch black. Obviously, the lightning is illuminating the sky. But, you know, in this type of case, Josh, the only way you might know that you've got a tornado developing is if it were temporarily illuminated by those flashes of lightning.
And funny you say that, because I'm trying to get the arrow to work, maybe to work here. Look right in here, Dan. When that lights up again, you can make out a wall cloud for sure right there. And let me clear these because I think it may be blocking it.
Exactly.
But
right
in that
down the road,
spot,
there it is. And so, you know, that wall cloud is the kind of the rain-free base of the thunderstorm. That's what we watch really closely. If that wall cloud starts to rotate, or if you see cloud fragments rising up into it, that's a sign that that storm may be starting to produce a tornado. But you can see the challenges of chasing at night. Visibility is extremely limited, and really, you've got to rely on your radar, and then you occasionally get glimpses of the storm when it's illuminated by those powerful lightning flashes that you see right there. So our thanks to Michael Beard for sharing that video clip with us. We've got some other folks that are heading out right now, so we'll keep monitoring their live streams as well and hopefully be able to share some of that with you. So that's what the storm looks like. Now, I guess we can go back to radar and track these storms again. There you go. We've got that severe thunderstorm warning now that's been extended east. It includes much of Parker County, including the Weatherford area, Willow Park. In fact, they took that warning all the way to the Tarrant County line. The most intense part by far is the area of the storm just west of Mineral Wells right there, because, boy, not only do you have wind, but you've got hail. So that means wind-driven hail with that storm. That can be very damaging, and that is likely going to slide, if not right into Mineral Wells, on the north side of Mineral Wells. That little red polygon still indicates the tornado warning where we've got rotation in the storm. So we could certainly see a tornado spin up, and if it does, it would be right in all of that very heavy rain. Impossible to see it coming, but just you should be taking shelter. Really not just in the tornado warning polygon, but really we're talking about 80-mile-an-hour winds with this severe thunderstorm warning. So you need to really treat that too as if it was a low-end tornado.
Yeah, and we've had multiple views, and the Fort Worth data, I don't know what's coming out of it that looks junky like that, but I'll switch back over to Abilene's radar, and again, we still have those yellows showing up, indicating that 70-plus mile-per-hour wind that is showing up within that storm. And there's also something I've been noticing kind of just in the radar trends, Dan. Watch how these cells develop. It's going a little fast, so let me slow it down for a bit. But the fact that these cells are developing and feeding up into this, I think that there's probably a little mesoscale low pressure developing right there in that cell that was the supercell. That also has the potential to really mix down the winds there. So Mineral Wells certainly could be seeing the brunt of this storm here soon, even though that hail core will likely pass to the north of there. At least the biggest hail passes north.
Yeah, you can clearly see evidence of rotation along the northern edge of that line right now. And that will be moving up then into extreme northwestern Parker County, and then it'll continue from there on up. There's Wise County. I was just going to say into Wise County. And so they've issued a warning now based on the movement of this. So our newest warnings are Jack County, and Wise County until 9 o'clock for hail that could be up to the size of quarters, but the bigger threat is going to be those wind gusts, which could be up to 70 miles an hour in gusts. And that's certainly strong enough to down some trees and power lines. We're talking about fences, roof damage, things of that sort. So those are certainly damaging wind gusts. And that line continues all the way down to the south as well. And so this is going to impact a large portion of North Texas over the next 4 to 5 hours, as the Dallas-Fort Worth area will be under the gun more than likely after 9 o'clock this evening, probably heading towards 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's when we'll see that line moving into the Metroplex.
And we just got a report. So we were talking about the Wise County portion of the storm. This warning also goes down to Parker County. This just coming in from one of our chasers, Victor. Sirens going off in Brock. Now, that is likely for the gusty winds.
Yep.
But
yeah, and those outdoor warning sirens, again, they can be sounded usually for 3 different, reasons. 1, tornado. 2, large hail, usually 1.5 inches in diameter or larger. So we're talking about ping pong size or larger, or 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts or higher. That's what we have here. So don't be surprised if in many communities in Jack County, in Wise County, Parker County, Palo Pinto County, if you hear those outdoor warning sirens going off, that in all likelihood is because of the wind and potentially the hail too. But we also do have that small portion of northern Palo Pinto County under the tornado warning.
And one thing I do want to watch is, you notice how there's a cell developing here ahead of that part. Let me clear the labels just because that's cluttering things up. That cell developing there, occasionally you can get a little brief rotation on that. Occasionally a spin-up tornado try to develop on cells that merge into that. So certainly, even though there is no tornado warning in effect for Parker County, it certainly bears watching that you need to take cover, not only for winds, but that potential for that. I mean, either way, you get 80-mile-an-hour winds. It's like we were saying, that's going to cause damage. But we do need to watch any sort of cells that can develop ahead of this line.
Yeah, that evening weather balloon that they released showed a couple of things. Number one, that the cap had pretty much been removed. And even if there was a weak cap in place, I think it's obviously evident to us here that it's being overcome by the strong lift being provided by this big upper-level disturbance approaching. But the other thing that we should point out as well is that same weather balloon, the atmospheric sounding that it got, showed the low-level winds had really increased, and there's a lot of turning of those low-level winds, a lot of low-level wind shear. And when we see that, that gives us concern for spin-up tornadoes within even a line of thunderstorms like this.
And the hail core, I know Mineral Wells is a relatively large town out here, at least for parts of Palo Pinto County. That hail core getting closer and closer to it. So I want to query the hail size within this, and we are certainly seeing much bigger hail show up in that. And one thing that I noticed is that's that embedded supercell within the line.
Yeah.
So certainly, at least in this case, our hail
at least
algorithm.
Golf ball size, more than likely, with that storm now, if our computer algorithm is accurate, and it seems to have been pretty accurate so far. Sometimes it even underestimates. Let's hope that's not the case, but that is a big hail core, and that is going to impact areas, especially, at least it's sliding, it looks like, northwest of Mineral Wells, so into less populated areas, because that's the type of hail that is going to do a lot of damage, smash windshields. It's being blown sideways by 70-mile-an-hour winds, so it's going to cause damage to the side of homes, bust out windows in homes, damage roofs. So that's nothing to play around with there. So again, if you're watching us here in Palo Pinto County, hopefully you're in a safe place, lowest floor available, away from exterior walls or windows, in a closet. Bathroom is a good place to be as well, because if you've got the plumbing in the wall, that adds a little reinforcement in those walls as well. The idea is, again, to put as many walls between you and what's blowing in the wind as possible.
So to give you an idea of where this very large hail is going to pop through, because some of these towns are kind of escaping at least our mapping system, between Grayford and Salesville. Salesville is a very small town that is on that road there that cuts across 281, and then Grayford is up there a little bit further to the northwest. And this is going to shoot pretty much right between Grayford and Salesville as it works through extreme northeastern parts of Palo Pinto County.
Yeah, and if we can, Josh, let's put the radar back up there.
Let's do that.
And zoom out, just kind of a reset here. We'll do that every several minutes or so just to show folks at home what's going on. So this is the big view right now. You can see Dallas and Fort Worth sitting quiet for now off to the east, but you can see what's lurking literally just off to our west. It's that line of severe thunderstorms producing wind gusts of at least 70 miles an hour, maybe slightly stronger in a few cases. We've got some hail up to the size of golf balls embedded within that storm, and those warnings now extend from Wise County through Parker County all the way down through the Granbury area.
And a new update from the Weather Service. They're actually going to issue an upgraded severe thunderstorm warning for that portion we were just talking about, and that is going to be for 80-mile-per-hour winds and baseball-sized hail. So what they're likely going to do is either push this up to a destructive or a considerable tag, and that basically just tells the system, hey, this is a really, really intense storm that is capable of producing some big damage. So that new one just came out, and this includes Jack, Palo Pinto, and Parker County. So here's the polygon. This is going to get a little messy, but I'm going to manipulate this for a second and see if I can't get it to hone in on that exact warning. So
yeah, so essentially where you're seeing the hail core there in purple and going northeast all the way to Runaway Bay, that's the corridor that we expect the most destructive winds with this storm. That could be up to 80 miles per hour, along with that up to baseball-sized hail now. And we kind of, as soon as you pop that hail size on there, we're like, whoa, that looks like very, very large hail. And so Perrin, Runaway Bay, just on the north side, literally right on the north side of Mineral Wells, you're all in that new severe thunderstorm warning that includes up to baseball-sized hail and 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Can you pop the winds back up on there?
I can.
Yeah, let's show those.
The warning will disappear for a second.
Okay.
But that kind of gives you an idea of that portion that is at least considered. And I don't know what's going on with the wind.
That's okay. That's okay. So
let me see what I can do here.
We showed it before, but that the Doppler radar is literally peering into that storm, and it is showing winds. Now, we can't show winds on Doppler radar right at the surface because the radar beam with distance from the radar site itself goes up in altitude because of the curvature of the Earth. So we're probably looking at an altitude of roughly about 2,000 feet, and that was showing those 80-mile-per-hour plus winds. And there's evidence that those may be heading to the ground, mixing down to the surface, to ground level, and that's why they upgraded this severe thunderstorm warning with either a destructive or a considerable tag. And 80 mile an hour, that's easily the equivalent of an EF0 tornado. So something really to take very seriously there. And it involves multiple counties here because we're talking about northern portions of Palo Pinto County, southeastern portions of Jack County, southwestern portions of Wise County, and finally northwestern portions of Parker County. So that's why you see 4 counties all in that warning, is because it's kind of right where all those counties meet. And that storm is moving northeastward. It is by far the most intense of the actual line itself. It was originally that big rotating supercell. It's now merged with the line of storms, and there's kind of rotation associated with that storm as well. So it wouldn't surprise me, too, that we could see potential, at least, for another spin-up tornado with time here.
Yeah, and I did hone in on that warning, and they put what's called a destructive tag on it. So that is pretty much the highest category of a severe thunderstorm warning. And so that you're talking about 80-mile-per-hour winds, you're talking about baseball-sized hail, and you're talking about the potential for wind-blown baseball-sized hail. And that can cause a lot of damage, and in some cases can cause just as much damage as a EF1 tornado just because of the impact that hail has. I'm also looking along the edge, and there's a lot of shear along that. I'm looking at some off-radar products, and at one point, my off-radar product was indicating the potential for maybe even larger than baseball-size hail showing up in the radar. So that's looking well up in there, or showing up in the cloud. So as that falls down, obviously it shrinks.
Melting,
but
yeah.
it really verifies the intensity of this storm, which now the core of it is pretty much right on top of both Salesville and Perrin. Perrin is in southern Jack County, so that's where that is. I want to switch back to the mode of the radar we're accustomed to, and I also want to put a track on this because this will be working towards Lake Bridgeport if it holds at its current speed.
Yeah, it's obviously moving northeast, and you can kind of see signs too of it bowing out there. Notice how it's bowing out right along Highway 281, heading south of Jacksboro towards the Perrin area. And Josh is going to take this northeastward.
I'm actually going to move it further because I want to be on the leading edge of that.
Okay. So based on that and its current movement, it would put it up in Boonesville at 8:30, Runaway Bay at 8:31, Bridgeport at 8:40, and Paradise at 8:45. That's the arrival of those destructive winds that could be up to 80 miles an hour. And then right behind that wind, so you're going to feel the wind pick up, I mean, dramatically. And then within a few minutes after that, the hail core follows that wind as well. That's where you're seeing those purple colors now from the city of Mineral Wells up along Highway 281. So, you know, the north side, at least, of Mineral Wells right now is getting absolutely bombarded with some large hail and some damaging winds. That's the kind of hail, especially when it's driven by winds like that, that is going to really cause some big-time damage. This warning in effect until 8:45. That's not the only warning. We have additional warnings that extend farther south. All of these storms are kind of queued up now. They're moving east. And so if you're watching us in Dallas and Tarrant counties, Collin and Denton counties, we're going to get our turn too here coming up, but it's going to be after 9 o'clock in that 9 to 10 o'clock time frame when we start to see these storms moving into Denton County and Tarrant County and then Dallas County and Collin County after that. Hopefully they won't be as intense as what we're seeing right now because that would be a really bad situation. But you can see these storms extend farther south now into Gordon and on the north side of Stephenville. So we've got these warnings now in effect for northern Erath County, the Granbury area, all of Weatherford, all of Parker County now in that warning, Wise County as well. It's just they took that larger warning and they issued a very small warning, compact, to really hone in on the most intense part of that storm.
And you're right. It continues to bow out. There's a lot of shear along it, so some very gusty winds possible with that. I'm going to take this whole line, Dan, and kind of extrapolate it at 50 miles per hour. So I'm going to run it a little faster than maybe parts of it are going, a little slower than other parts are going, kind of an average speed. And I want to pull it into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex because that will kind of tell us when to expect it, at least in DFW. And 914 Fort Worth, 933 the mid-cities. DFW, at least on this map, is right where 360 and 30 meet. So the good idea of the mid-cities and the airport, as well as Garland, so the Dallas area by around that 957. So a good idea of that 9 to 10 o'clock, and if it slows down into the 11 o'clock hour is when we can expect this to move into Tarrant, Dallas, Collin, and Denton counties. So give you kind of a heads up by about 30 minutes to an hour at least with this coming in.
Yeah. So what do you do right now? If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you've got a car that's outside, bring it under cover, bring it in the garage under the carport because those type of winds are going to down some big tree limbs that can cause some damage. There still is going to be the potential of hail accompanying this line of storms. So make sure you get that car under cover. Don't wait until the storm is literally on your doorstep. You've got a window now in Dallas and Tarrant counties to take action, but do it very quickly. Certainly want to get out in the roadways now and head westbound in the direction of these storms because that's just trouble. And these storms as well. They're producing damaging winds, large hail, and there still is the potential we could see a spin-up tornado or two. We've already had a few tornado warnings issued with these storms.
We have, and this is really just honing in on the I-20 corridor, really. You can tell.
And I'm curious why another tornado watch has not been issued yet.
There was some watch that came out because it triggered my phone.
Okay.
And let me see. So this is a severe thunderstorm watch that's come out. So
Okay.
I'm going to switch to our watch warning combination
Okay,
here.
so
let
the
me do
new
that.
watch that they issued, they went with a severe thunderstorm watch, which surprises me a little bit. But it's a severe thunderstorm watch now for Collin County, Dallas County. So
There we
essentially for the rest of North Texas has now been placed under a severe thunderstorm watch.
Yeah, and let me see what that goes to.
That's not to say that a spin-up tornado or two is not possible, but the predominantly the big threat is going to be damaging winds and some hail. And so the Storm Prediction Center decided to go with a severe thunderstorm watch as opposed to a tornado watch like they did with the earlier one. That's in effect until 2 a.m.
I didn't mean to do that twice. But
Okay, no
there we go.
problem.
2 a.m.
So, yeah, and the severe weather threat probably won't last until 2 a.m. for the immediate Dallas-Fort Worth area, but it will for our far eastern counties there, highlighted in yellow. So that's the expiration time of the entire area there, 2 a.m. So thanks for putting that up there, Josh. So we now know that we've got the tornado watch in effect for areas west and northwest of Dallas and Fort Worth, and the severe thunderstorm watch now in effect for the Metroplex and points east and south.
Yeah, and a couple of things to still watch. The National Weather Service still monitoring the threat here of that wind-blown hail. Again, 80-mile-per-hour winds and baseball-sized hail possible with that part of the cell there. And that is now moving into northern Parker County. So this is going to be moving between Jacksboro and Springtown. So southwestern-wise, southeastern Jack, and northwestern Parker County under that threat there. Palo Pinto is now at least moving out of the hail core. So that's starting to scoot out of Palo Pinto County, which is good news, but still something we'll monitor. And that's making a direct direction towards parts of Decatur as well. So I want to give a lead to Decatur now. Decatur and Paradise by 8:51. Decatur, this could be on top of you by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, and notice the hail core, how that has kind of expanded with time. So it was a little bit more compact, and now we've got a much broader area all along Highway 281 from north of Perrin clear down to the northeast side of Mineral Wells, where our Doppler radar is picking up those higher reflectivities. When we see those higher reflectivities, we know that's not rain. That is chunks of ice that it's picking up to cause those heavier returns. And that's where we could see anywhere from quarter-sized hail on the smaller side all the way up to golf ball size or larger. There were indications of potentially up to baseball size hail with a few of those stones earlier, but that is going to cause some damage as it continues moving northeastward out of Palo Pinto County into southern portions of Jack County. In fact, it's already into southern Jack County right now, heading up into southwestern Wise County. So wind and hail, kind of a dual threat with that part of the severe thunderstorm, the line of severe storms now. Looks like that warning now continues all the way to the east, on the east side of Decatur. So they've taken the warning to the Denton County line, and they've taken the warning to the Tarrant County line. So those will be next in line, more than likely, for the next warnings that do get issued.
And so, just to let you know, I'm kind of looking at the position of some of our chasers. Aaron is working down I-30. He's near Link Crest, so he's kind of coming into that west side of I-30, or the west side of Tarrant County, rather, west of 820. So he will be approaching Parker County, and I imagine if he were to continue on his current path, he'll probably be intercepting this on the east side of Weatherford.
And obviously I can't share this, but our chasers, the same one, Michael Beard, sharing another video from hail in Salesville. And we talked about the small town of Salesville. Let
me see what I can do to pull it up.
Hearing that right now. And he says actually in the wake of the hail, there's some fog that's developed on the roadway there as well, as that the ice literally sublimates into the actual warm air above, and so it's creating some fog. So there's been enough hail that's accumulated on the road there in Palo Pinto County around the Salesville area that it's producing areas of fog. But there's live radar right now. It's 8:25 in the evening. We had the severe thunderstorm watch issued now for the remainder of North Texas. That goes all the way until 2 a.m. We've got the tornado watch in effect for areas west of the Metroplex until 11 o'clock. There's our line of severe storms now that extends from Jack County all the way down through Mineral Wells and into northwestern portions of Erath County. Wind and hail, the two primary threats with this line of storms. And those wind gusts, at least on the northern end of it, where you see it bowing out there, could be as high as 80 miles an hour. That's also where we're seeing the large hail, where you're seeing the purple colors there. As you head a little farther south along the line, not quite as intense, but we're still talking about 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts that are going to be blowing through the southern half of Parker County, northern Erath County, and into the Granbury area. That's the southern extent of the severe thunderstorm warning for now. But we think that these storms will maintain their intensity as they head east, moving into western Tarrant County, western Denton County, probably between 9 and 9:30, and then continuing from there into Collin County and Dallas County as we get closer to the 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and just looking at the radar continuing, I mean, we're seeing that portion of the storm that's actually moving over Jack County has that potential. I've been checking a couple of the velocities on some off products or off computer radar here, and I am seeing the 66 knots, so that's close to 70 mile per hour range, and southern parts of Palo Pinto County, as well as you can tell that hail core. This is you're really seeing the apex of the bow come here in northern Parker County. So I think the wind threat may actually be increasing a bit in northern Parker County, maybe even as far south as Highway 180 outside of that polygon. Just looking at some of the radar imagery, it kind of has that view like the wind's jutting out a bit. So that would be heading towards Peaster in northern Parker County and eventually towards Springtown as well, something we'll watch.
Just a little inside baseball. We're not playing on our phone. We're literally in communication with our chasers who are out in the field right now. And I did send you those two videos from Michael Beard of the hail fog there in Palo Pinto County. But, you know, these chasers are invaluable to us because, especially this hour of the night, it gets, you know, impossible for us to see what's going on out there. I mean, obviously, we can show you radar signatures like this that show large hail and damaging wind gusts, but they're out in the field and they can tell us exactly how big that hail is and how strong those winds may have been by looking for damage in the wake of these storms as well. But this is obviously a very challenging chase because now we're well after dark and these storms with their torrential downpours are really reducing visibility and producing dangerous driving conditions on the roadway. But you can see there outlined in yellow are severe thunderstorm warnings that's literally stretch from far northern Wise County all the way down through Parker County into northern Erath County. Clearly that hail signature shows up there with the purple colors. Can you put the hail size back up there again?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get back up there. Let me switch sources
get
here.
An estimate of how big that hail might be at the present time.
Much bigger
it's come down. Looks like it's come down in size a little bit, so that's good. You look up at the scale there, and we're seeing signs of quarter-sized hail, maybe golf ball, walnut size. So we're not seeing the baseball-sized hail that was indicated earlier, but a large swath of hail too. That likely, when it comes through those areas, is going to accumulate maybe a couple inches on the ground. And this hail is also being driven by extremely strong winds, and that is going to make the damage even worse. It's one thing if hail is just falling down to the surface, but when it's being driven sideways now it can bust windows out of homes, side windows of your car as well, cause a lot of damage to the siding of homes, strip leaves off of trees. I know some of those are just starting to flush out right now. There's the more conventional radar that you're typically used to looking at, and right along the leading edge, that's where you're going to get those very strong winds. And then just a few minutes behind that, you get the hail. So we're looking at northern Parker County, northwest of Weatherford there at the real intense portion of that line of storms. The worst has passed east through Mineral Wells, so I guess that's the good news there. The real damaging wind and hail threat now is on your east side, but now it's moving through northern Parker County, heading up through southern Jack County into southwestern portions of Wise County as well.
Yeah, and as we put a loop on it, the strongest part of the storm is actually heading straight towards Peaster and Springtown, where that bow is. So that's why I put that on the screen there, because the mapping system wasn't grabbing it. But I know that's a community that most people in Parker County know, and that's going to be heading eventually down to the towards Springtown and eventually Azle as well. So I want to put a local track on this too and put it at about 50 miles per hour. So let me go ahead and put that on now, and we'll put that at 50 miles per hour. It's currently ingesting that video I sent, by the way, and there it goes at about 50, heading towards Eagle Mountain Reservoir.
Yeah, and that'll be Springtown at roughly 846, Azle at 854, Pecan Acres at 857. So the Eagle Mountain Lake area, Azle, you're going to be under the gun here just before 9 o'clock for powerful winds that could be in excess of 70 miles an hour and hail. And that's a more populated area now that these storms are going to be moving into. So heads up there. Once again, if you can get your car under cover, by all means do so. And make sure you are under cover as we get closer to 9 o'clock, because these storms are fierce and they are capable of definitely producing damage as they rumble eastward towards your direction right now.
Yeah, and just a couple things I'm kind of viewing. I got a report now. This came from the Mineral Wells Airport at 1:15, so that would have been 8:15, pardon. Mineral Wells, 3 south-southeast of Mineral Wells, so 3 miles south-southeast, a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust observed by airport. So we have confirmed 60-mile-per-hour winds in this, and we have the potential for those 70 to at times 80-mile-per-hour winds to mix in. So I also have that video that we were speaking of that includes Salesville, so I'm going to fire that up. Let me see if that... I'm going to let that save, and we will move that over. So I'll hit save, and now I'll be able to pull it on this source, and you'll see this video. This is the hail that was falling in the Salesville community. So you can see some of the hail fog, a ton of lightning with that. That from our chaser, Michael Beard in Salesville, which is northeastern Palo Pinto County. Just look at how vivid that lightning is. So this is a very electric storm. That tells you it's strong, for one. But also, when you see hail fog like that, that means a lot of hail fell. So either this is producing some big hail, or it's producing a lot of quarter to golf ball size hail with some mixed in big hail. So either way, that is wind-blown hail that's possible with that. Again, that's in northeastern Palo Pinto County. I've also just been looking at some of the other pictures coming in. We have some very interesting views of the severe storms as they were moving through the Brock area. But as of right now, the strongest part of our storms continues to be right there in parts of Parker and Wise County. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings continuing for northern ERAF, the north half of Hood County, southeastern Palo Pinto County, the majority, or entirety rather, of Parker County, the entirety of Wise County, southeastern Jack County, and also northwestern Palo Pinto County, though I think the severe threat from that is moving away, which is good news. Let's see if my velocity is coming in better, and there we go. Now we can really query what the radar is kind of seeing, at least in parts of Parker County. So let me go ahead and pull that data. Here is the velocity that's showing up, and I'm going to measure some of these. This kind of tells you how much can be wrapped into this storm. Now, again, this is happening well above the ground, but as the storm comes through, it can mix some of that wind down. So in this case, we have at least 58-mile-per-hour wind showing up on radar north of Highway 180 in Parker County. We have 65-mile-per-hour wind showing up just to the south of Millsap in Parker County as well. So that's all mixing in. The leading edge of this storm, let me go ahead and find where this is. The leading edge of this storm is just north of Weatherford. So if you're on the west side of Weatherford, there's a loop that goes around town, very close to where that Highway 180 sign is. As that moves around and goes to the north, that kind of defines the boundaries of Weatherford. Weatherford's a very significant town. Around 30,000 people live in Weatherford. So this is a highly populated area that this storm is now moving into. And the population continues to increase as you go towards Fort Worth. So we're now getting the strongest part of this storm working into more populated areas of Parker County, and that means eventually it will work towards the Metroplex. So let me go ahead and I'll put a track on this at 50 miles per hour. So 50 mile per hour track along the leading edge of this storm as it works through Parker County into Tarrant County. So we'll get some communities here. Weatherford by 8:41. So really in the next 5 minutes it's going to be impacting Weatherford. Decatur by 8:47. Azle, which is right there on Eagle Mountain Reservoir, that is at 8:53. White Settlement by after 9 o'clock and Keller by 9:12. That means that downtown Fort Worth, if we include that, will be around 9:15. So there you go. Fort Worth 9:14. Benbrook by around 9:09. So a lot of communities will be impacted by this storm as it moves through. So Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth, that's 9:14. So you have about 35 minutes before this impacts downtown Fort Worth. Plenty of time to get your car in shelter, kind of think about where you'd be heading if these winds can threaten. Azle by around 8:53. So that's going to be closer to 15 minutes from now. So Azle, you have enough time to get your car under cover as well. Be thinking about where you're at. Weatherford, you need to be heading to your safe part of your home now as these gusty winds are coming through, as well as Springtown. Springtown's going to be a little faster than Weatherford because the leading edge of that storm already working towards Springtown. Springtown, you have only about 5 minutes as well. So we're going to keep tracking this for you. We're going to toss to break for now. We're going to continue with live coverage here on Fox Local and on Fox 4. Stay with us. We're going to keep you forewarned.
Well, it was a physical first period, and then things got grinding in the second period, but we finally have some offense. 2 for the Stars.
Good evening, everyone. Dan Henry here from the Forewarned Weather Center. Just want to update you during intermission here. We've had another watch issued. It is a severe thunderstorm watch that includes all of the Dallas-Fort Worth area and points east. That watch goes until 2 a.m., and that's in addition to the tornado watch in red there that continues for essentially the western half of North Texas until 11 p.m. And you can see the severe thunderstorm warnings lining up now from Wise County, Jack County, all the way down through Parker County into the Morgan Mill and Granbury areas. And on the north end now of this line of storms where you see it bowing out, that's where we have some of the most intense weather. I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to give folks at home an idea here in the Metroplex of when we can expect the leading edge of this line of severe storms to arrive. Azle, roughly 8:57, Granbury at 9:02, City of Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth at 9:26, DFW Airport at about 9:53, and the City of Dallas, downtown Dallas at roughly 10:18. Now that is based on the current movement going east at 35 miles an hour. If that would to speed up a little bit, then the arrival times would be a little bit early. There is the most destructive portion of this line right now, pushing through Runaway Bay, heading up towards Paradise. This is where we have the 70 to possibly up to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And that is blowing northeastward in the direction of Decatur. So a good chunk here of Wise County under that severe thunderstorm warning. But to the southwest of there, in that Runaway Bay area and Paradise, you're in that concentrated area where we could see really intense destructive wind gusts up to 80 miles an hour. And you notice these purple colors as well. That's where we're seeing the hail falling with this storm as well. I'm going to pause this here for a second, and we're going to zoom out once again and show you the big view here. This line of storms, as expected, really right on cue here in terms of the timing. It's going to continue to head eastward, and wind is going to be our primary threat, I think, for the next 3, 4, 5 hours. Followed by wind will be hail, and we could see up to golf ball-sized hail in a few instances. Most of it, though, is going to be smaller than that, your pocket change variety. And then additionally, there is still a lot of low-level turning of the winds. We call that low-level wind shear. That could lead to a spin-up tornado or two as this line continues heading eastbound. But once again, we are sitting safe for now in Dallas and Tarrant counties. You have a window of opportunity if your car is in harm's way to move it into the garage, to move it under a carport. But don't mess around, because once again, as we head closer to 9 o'clock, that's when this line will be pushing into far northwestern portions of Tarrant County. And then between 9 and 10, we're going to see this line rumbling from west to east across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So once again, we'll zoom in up to the north here, Wise County. That's our hail core here. Those magenta colors, the purple colors, could be up to golf ball-sized hail. Very strong winds, 70 to 80 miles an hour. And that line continues farther south through Parker County and to the southwest of there. Going to take a little short break here.
Dallas has the 1-goal lead on home ice.
11 p.m. It's essentially the western portion of North Texas. And the severe thunderstorm watch now in effect until 2 a.m. It includes all of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Collin counties, and points east and southeast. That goes again until 2 a.m. Let's go to scan 1 if we can. We've got a few chasers out in the field. This is Aaron Essman, I believe. He is out towards the Weatherford area, and you can see the lightning illuminating the night sky. You folks in Weatherford are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Wind gusts 60 to 65 miles per hour. There's also some embedded hail within this line of storms as well. Generally pocket change hail, but could also be up to the size of ping pong balls in a few instances. But that gives you an indication of what is coming our way, and that is radar that Josh Johns is currently operating for me here. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Wise County, Jack County, Parker County, all the way down into the Morgan Mill and Granbury areas. And notice where that line is kind of bowing out there. Just to the west and southwest of Rome, in southwestern, in southern portions of Wise County. That's where we think that the strongest winds are. If we are getting still those 70 mile per hour or greater wind gusts, it would likely be from roughly the northern end of Eagle Mountain Lake up towards the Boyd area. But up and down this line of storms, strong gusty winds in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range, and hail. And we also continue to monitor. There is the potential for a spin-up tornado or two due to the fact that we've got a lot of low-level turning of the winds, a lot of low-level wind shear. So we will be under the gun here shortly in Tarrant County and Denton County as these storms move in from the west shortly after 9 o'clock, probably getting closer to 10 o'clock until they reach Collin County and Dallas County.
Plays out. Josh and Razor are next. We will talk to you post-game.
Meteorologist Josh Johns here in the Fox Local Studio. We are tracking the potential for severe weather continuing to work into parts of the Metroplex. A new warning now for Parker and Tarrant County. This includes the city of Fort Worth as well. Hail up to the size of quarters, winds to 65 miles per hour will be a possibility as this storm continues to work east at 40 miles per hour. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Wise, Cook, Denton, and Montague County. This goes until 10 o'clock for the potential for quarter-size hail and 65-mile-per-hour winds. It has been confirmed. That's an observed warning as well as radar indicated there for the part of the storm working into Tarrant County. Let me clear these warnings so that you can see a good idea of where this line of thunderstorms exists. And this is over the last hour. You can really see that Boeing segment continuing to work in. This stretches from Alvord down through Decatur, Briar, Azle, towards Willow Park and Aledo, and down towards southern parts of Parker County, approaching the Crescent area. So you want to get indoors. You want to get away from windows if you're in the path of this storm. Let me put a track on this storm as it is working east at about 40. This entire line of storms here continuing to work east, and here's when it'll be heading to your neighborhood. Eagle Mountain by 9:07, Benbrook by 9:19, Fort Worth by 9:25, Denton by 9:33, and Arlington coming up by 9:45. That means it'll be working into Dallas County here after around 10 o'clock. So something we will be monitoring with this. And again, the main threats with this is going to be that potential for hail up to the size of quarters as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds. So let me go ahead and look at the wind mode of the radar, see what our radar, and this is now getting very close to the radar side, or much closer, so we can kind of get a better idea of what these winds are. So let me query the velocity real quick. I'm also joined by Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry, who has joined us here in the digital studio. And Dan, the velocities are not as impressive as they were, which is good news.
Yeah, they're not, and I think that is an encouraging sign. Obviously, you know, we were seeing those wind signatures west of the Metroplex of 70 to 80 miles an hour. That does not appear to be the case right now. So these storms are weakening a bit, although they still certainly are strong to severe as they're moving through the Metroplex, and that's why the National Weather Service did put out those severe thunderstorm warnings. But that will be, I think, the trend as we head over the next few hours, is that with time, as these storms move through the Metroplex and move east of the I-35 corridor, that they will gradually weaken a little bit. Still have to keep our eyes out, though, for the potential for a spin-up tornado or two. That is certainly a possibility given the pretty impressive low-level winds and the turning of those winds. We call that low-level wind shear. We've already seen a couple of tornado warnings issued this evening. Aside from the one tornado that was captured, and that was in the afternoon, that was about 25 miles southeast of Abilene, I don't believe we've had any confirmation of any tornadoes, because when these warnings have been issued, the rotation signature itself has been embedded within torrential rain and hail, literally impossible to see. But even in the case where we were getting those very strong winds before, it can be almost impossible to distinguish between a very weak tornado, the damage it leaves behind, and 70 to 75-mile-per-hour straight-line wind. So that's kind of academic. But as we look at this from a big view here, notice it still is bowing out just a little bit there on the east side of Azle, the Eagle Mountain Lake area, on up towards eastern Wise County. So, you know, if I had to pick out a couple of areas where we've got really strong winds, one of them would probably be Decatur, east of there along Highway 380 up towards the Ponder area. And perhaps as well, we're starting to see a little bit of bowing there on the east side of Eagle Mountain Lake, east of Azle there, where we could have some more concentrated, stronger wind gusts. But all of Tarrant County now is under a severe thunderstorm warning. All of Denton County under a severe thunderstorm warning. And this is really timed out just about exactly how we thought it would. We're just past 9 o'clock now, and we've got the line just pushing into western Denton County and pushing into western and northwestern Tarrant County. And they'll continue to head farther east, likely reaching Dallas County probably closer to 10 o'clock. And really the same story for Collin County as well, probably in that 9:45 to 10 o'clock time frame. I'm going to continue to keep an eye, too, on our chat that we have with our storm chasers who are out in the field. They've been gathering some photos and videos for us. And don't see any new information from them yet.
I haven't seen anything either.
Yeah, Vic didn't have anything impressive. He was in Weatherford, and he didn't really measure any high winds as the storms came through there. It looked like the more intense storms in Parker County hit on the north side of the county, and certainly Palo Pinto County had some very strong winds. Also see a little hail, too, embedded within these storms, where you're seeing those purple colors, Decatur, Azle, around the Willow Park area. The signature has not been impressive as impressive as it was earlier with the hail. So it's probably come down a couple of notches there as well.
Let's look at that hail query that we're talking about, and we can kind of look and go deeper down in the street level. And yes, I mean, we were seeing blues, we were seeing purples, and even as high as reds, but now we're starting to see more of that white to silver color. And what that really means is we're talking about P to marble to maybe small coins, dimes, pennies, something like that.
Yeah, and that's good news, of course, too, because that's a sign, too. The winds are coming down a little bit. The hail size is coming down. Hail is directly correlated to updraft strength. So the larger the chunk of ice, the stronger the updraft that you need to keep it suspended in the air. It takes a very, very strong updraft, probably 90 to 100 miles an hour to support, for instance, a baseball-sized chunk of hail. And what goes up comes down. So we know that if a storm has that type of updraft, it has the potential to produce equal strength downdrafts or straight line winds. So the hail size is coming down, so the updraft strength is not quite what it was. And so that also reflects on the signature in terms of wind and straight line winds. And so we've seen that intensity coming down. So I don't think we're going to see the 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts with these storms that we saw maybe an hour or so ago, but certainly 60 to 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts are still very attainable with these storms as they move into Tarrant and Denton counties.
Absolutely. And I mean, one other thing, and I'm trying to get it to populate here, but the lightning has been prolific with these. I think we can fire up our Fort Worth Skycam as these storms are moving in. And this is looking east, so we aren't going to be looking towards the storms, but you'll occasionally see flashes of lightning. As this approaches, we'll have a view on the ground of this moving in. And I think Aaron is in West Fort Worth right now, but I think he's also pointed east, so I don't know if we can get a view that direction yet or not, because these storms are coming in from the west. There's a view. This is Aaron. So he's approaching downtown Fort Worth. So this is facing east as well. So the storm, I think he's trying to beat it and not be right in the middle of that wind coming right in towards him. You don't want to drive into this by any means.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he's doing. And he got us some good video, earlier this evening, too, when those storms were moving through Grayford in Palo Pinto County. Tremendous amount of wind and lightning. They also had a lot of hail out there. In fact, the hail produced some fog in the aftermath. So, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to get out of harm's way there. But this severe thunderstorm watch now goes all the way until 2 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't mean that we're going to be under the severe weather threat here in the Metroplex until 2 a.m., but our eastern counties certainly could be under the potential for severe weather past midnight tonight. So this will be a late night affair. We still have the tornado watch in effect for our western counties, although I can tell you that if you live, for instance, in Jack County now, in Young County, in Palo Pinto County, and those areas behind this line of storms, you're in a cooler, more stable environment now. You've seen the worst of the storms pass you by. So the severe weather threat is going to continue up and down that line of storms there and to the east for at least the next few hours as we head from now through midnight and potentially beyond that as well.
So I have that watch box over on Weather 2, Dan, and you'll be able to see the severe thunderstorm watch box you were talking about. And it runs basically from Fort Worth. It takes over where the tornado watch lets off. So it runs from Fort Worth all the way to Canton, Sulphur Springs, and Cooper. So that kind of gives you an idea. By 2 a.m., this is shifting into our east counties and eventually into the Shreveport market, or the Tyler and Shreveport markets. And there you go. There's that watch box there in the yellow. So it's a good way to time out when storms will hit.
Yeah, and we had the tornado watch issued for our western counties because initially there were big supercells that were developing. Those are the rotating severe thunderstorms, a rotating updraft. We call that a mesocyclone. Those are the ones that produce all modes of severe weather. The discrete cells, the ones that are kind of isolated, they're not part of a line. They produce the giant hail, the high wind gusts, and the tornado threat. And exactly as the computer models that said would happen is that these supercells merged into a line of storms, and that line of storms now has become a squall line, and it's not a perfectly straight squall line. You notice there are curves in it, and where it curves outward, where it bows out, that can be the sign of stronger winds that are pushing the rain, accelerating the rain farther eastward than the remaining part of the line, and that kind of gives us a visual cue that, boy, that could be a site where we see some damaging wind gusts. But now this squall line has taken over, and so we've seen a transition from a tornado threat and large hail threat to more of a wind threat. And fortunately, these winds are dying down a little bit. You know, they're weaker than what they were even an hour ago when we had that wind threat of 80 miles an hour to our west and to the northwest. Now the wind gusts probably on the order of maybe 60 up to 65 miles per hour as these storms now begin to move into western Denton County, and they are approaching downtown Fort Worth. So they're out towards White Settlement right now, up towards Azle, the Eagle Mountain Lake area, and so it's just a matter of time now before the storms overtake downtown Fort Worth.
Yeah, and I believe we have one of our drive crews out there, and I think this might be in North Tarrant County. This is still Aaron's feed. So Aaron is moving back up I-30. You can see the rain already coming there. This is going to be one of our crews that's out in the field, and I believe they're in North Tarrant County, right? Yeah, so North Tarrant County. So they're kind of looking at the storm coming in. And, Dan, remember how prolific the lightning was back when it was over Palo Pinto County? We had that video from Michael from Salesville.
It was constant.
It's much lower now.
Yeah. So these are all good signs. So the hail size is coming down. The wind speeds are coming down. The lightning frequency is coming down. We're not seeing the rotation signatures that we were before. So this is all a sign that with time, this line of storms is not quite as intense as it was an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours ago. Still severe, but it's kind of a lower end severe compared to what it was a little bit earlier this evening. So that's good because the storms now are beginning to move into more highly populated areas, Tarrant and Denton counties, and they'll continue to spread eastward over the next hour, moving into Denton or into Dallas and Collin counties, certainly as we head towards 10 o'clock. And then we're starting to pick up now on the lightning activity from our ground crew there looking off in the distance.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service has mentioned now, we have said that overall that line has come down in strength, but you can still have little areas that ramp up. And in this case, I've popped up the terminal Doppler radar because they have said that there is a area of higher winds showing just above ground over northwest Tarrant and southwest Denton County. So this is going to be here near, go ahead on Weather 2 when you get the chance, please. This is going to be south of Justin, and I'm looking at some of these. So let me move over. This is going to be the Dallas, so TDAL. This is Love Field's terminal Doppler, which ironically is next to DFW Airport. I think they're talking about that spot there south of Justin. So let's go ahead and go into the velocity mode and see what they're seeing. And that may be what they're looking at. I mean, these are X-band radars, so we end up getting higher resolution data. You can't see as far out, but it is lower to the ground, so you get a better idea of what can be mixing down to the ground.
And that's the whole key in this type of situation, is that the closer the radar is to the actual storm in question, the higher resolution data you're going to get. And so that becomes advantageous for us to look at the terminal Doppler radar here from the airport that's closer to the storm up there in southwestern Denton County, getting up towards the Justin area. As you said, that radar beam is much closer to the ground, so we're looking at more a wind speed more representative of what we would see near the surface. And so are they upping that, considering upping the velocity on that, or are they still holding it?
I haven't seen anything yet,
So-
but they are typing a new message. Now, I will say I've seen the radar sometime, and the thing is, there's such a broad area, that 74 to, or that 60 to 70 that's showing up there in the blue, that I think it may be slightly erroneous, but at least on that leading edge, it shows a different picture than what we're getting from the Spinks radar, the Fort Worth Spinks radar down in South Fort Worth, which we tend to use. So at least it's a different view. And they may also be looking at reflectivity. So let me dig into reflectivity.
And the green
that
colors, again, are
big bit.
showing wind motion towards the radar, and the red away. So we're just showing kind of a swath of wind that's blowing out from these storms, kind of straight line winds. And typically you'll see the stronger winds right on the leading edge of the line of storms itself. Now, our radar picture gets a little bit muddy here because you notice now out ahead of the main line of storms here, we've got these showers that are developing. North Richland Hills, up into Keller, the Trophy Club area. So that's out ahead of the main line that lies just west of there, kind of butting right up against I-35W there, from Justin, Texas Motor Speedway, on down into Saginaw, now coming into the White Settlement area. Northwest sections of Fort Worth, so those red colors, torrential downpours coming down. And when you've got a leading edge where the color changes very quickly from the light greens to the dark greens, a well-defined edge like that typically is indicative of very strong gusty winds right along the leading edge of that line of storms itself.
Yeah, and I also have this is a new report coming in from the Weather Service, and this is from a ham radio operator in Cook County, that they saw winds up to 78 miles per hour measured in Roston in Cook County. So I believe that's going to be up here on this part of the storm.
Yeah, and that's a possibility because, again, we were talking about the northern end of this storm being a little bit more intense. I'd be curious to know what type of wind measurement that was, if that is a true anemometer that somebody had. But we get all these reports fed into the National Weather Service chat session, and they come from emergency managers, trained storm spotters, fire departments, literally a various, varied group of people that are participating in events like this. And it's a great exchange of information that we pass on to our viewers as well. But you put Roston on there, at least according to the radar signature, it doesn't look like anything too impressive, but certainly that could have been the site of a little stronger wind gust there.
Yeah, and I was just kind of looking. It's at the base of a hill too, so it's possible to accelerate it a bit with some of the cold air. That can run a little faster. I also have a train spotter reporting a 67 mile per hour wind gust just west of Decatur. So that was probably an older observation, but this is what is now rolling into Denton County. So there's that part, and actually that gust that happened over Decatur, watch the track of that. See that bow? That moves right into where Roston is. So maybe there was a little localized area of high winds, but certainly goes without saying that these storms can still produce that, even though they don't look as impressive on radar now.
Yeah, and sometimes these turbulent wind gusts, can be very localized in nature, and the majority of the line may be producing winds, on the order of 40 to 50 to, maybe 60 miles an hour. And you get a wind gust in there that can be 70 miles an hour or greater. So again, the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for all of Denton County, all of Tarrant County now, as these storms continue to roll eastward. We're not seeing notice with time here, you're seeing those purple colors literally disappear. And so those stronger radar reflectivities were indicative of large chunks of ice that the radar beam was intercepting. We really don't see that right now. The hail size has really come down. That's a good sign. The amount of lightning that's been showing up, the lightning frequency is going down as well. And so this is really, for all intents and purposes, become just kind of a wind threat now. But we will have to continue to watch for the potential of these little areas of rotation that can produce spin-up tornadoes. And that can happen so quickly, maybe 1 or 2 radar scans and then they're gone. So in this type of scenario, even if we were to get a spin-up tornado, it would be something that would be on the ground not long at all before it lifted.
And I'm curious to see, our crews are actually near Texas Motor Speedway, so they're right in the thick of it. Let's go ahead and view that. And yeah, lots of rain coming down. We kind of expected that. Look at the trees, though. That's not incredibly intense.
Those winds are probably only 20, maybe 30 miles an hour. We're not seeing any frost. Yeah, the wind is blowing a little bit there, but those are not severe wind gusts that they're currently experiencing there near Texas Motor Speedway. Rain coming down, obviously, flashes of lightning, but this gives us a really good idea of what's moving through the Justin area and the areas, the Alliance Corridor more than likely too, far north Fort Worth, heading up around the Speedway. That's more than likely Highway 114 would be my guess there. They're not too far from I-35 as well. You can see the development there. The Buc-ee's is just down the road there. I've been there a few times. So yeah, that's a great example of what's going on. Notice the ponding though on the roadways there as well. You want to slow your speed down because you can certainly get into a situation where you're hydroplaning. So that was very timely there to kind of give us a ground truth of what's going on, what's taking place with the storms there in far southwestern Denton County near Texas Motor Speedway.
And I'm very curious, can you take Aaron's feed when you get a chance to, or are we about to have a talk back here? No talk back, yeah. So I'm just looking at radar. This is going to be Aaron's feed, and he is actually, I believe he's going to be pointed to the west now on 183. So this is in northeast Tarrant County.
And you see there, dramatic.
Actually, he's location's a little off from what I was looking at.
He's out of the rain. He's heading away from the storms. So
yeah, he is.
He might be done for the night.
I misread that.
But yeah, you can see 121 north there, the exit. So yeah, he's in the mid-cities area there. So he's on the far east side now of Fort Worth.
Can we take our downtown Fort Worth cam again? Because the leading edge is actually coming into downtown Fort Worth too. So we'll look at that view real quick. And this is going to be downtown Fort Worth. So the gusty winds, they should be rolling into downtown shortly. The leading edge of the storm is actually right on West 7th. So it's about 2-3 miles west of downtown Fort Worth. But this thing's hauling. So pretty soon, that view that you see in Fort Worth will be overtaken. Let's go back to radar on Weather 2. And we'll give you an update on where this storm is. I also want to show the lightning. And there's still a decent amount of lightning. It's not extremely prolific, but lots of heavy rain now coming in. We'll go into your neighborhood here, Keller, Eagle Mountain Reservoir, Saginaw. You're seeing heavy rain north side of Fort Worth, so where 820 and 35 come together. Lake Worth, heavy rain. Same in White Settlement down to Benbrook. Edgecliff Village, you're dry right now, but the heavy rain is moving in. And we also have heavy rain moving into parts of Johnson County. So Godley starting to see some rain as well. Let's go up north along this line. And one of the areas that I think is likely seeing some of the gustier winds. We were looking at this on that terminal Doppler radar. And what that is, again, that's a couple of smaller radars that exist to take care of both DFW Airport and Dallas Love Field. It kind of gives you an idea of what's closer to the ground so that they can better tell how it's going to affect planes coming in and landing, if they were landing in this, or even if they aren't, just a kind of idea of what could be threatening the airport. And this was one area we were looking at where it may be getting a little gustier there near Trophy Club, but You saw our view, which was likely 114 and 35. So that's not far from Trophy Club. In fact, Trophy Club is where 114 goes through and crosses 377 there. And it didn't look incredibly inconspicuous as far as extremely high winds or very heavy rain were concerned. So good news there is that we don't have that. Also hearing reports of trees down north of Paradise and north of Chico and Wise County. That was back when this storm was in Wise County. So this storm, even though it does not look as impressive on radar, still has a history of producing very high winds, even an isolated tornado. We saw some of that earlier. So these storms are still very, very gusty. Or very potent, rather, as they are moving through. So we'll monitor them as they move through. Let's put the latest track on them as they roll at about 40 miles per hour. So we'll track this here from Sanger down through Denton, North Richland Hills, and Fort Worth. We'll get a leading edge. I'm going to redraw that because I kind of veered off the edge there. So let me redraw that from Sanger down through Denton, North Richland Hills, back towards Fort Worth. We'll redraw this. We'll move it east. We'll give you an idea of the communities that are coming up. So Denton, 927. Louisville by 942. Pretty much the heart of DFW. So the core around the entertainment district in Arlington by 949. Irving by 9:53, and Richardson by 10:06. So roughly the same time for downtown Dallas. If I were to extend this out, you'll see it include Dallas, and Dallas by around 10:08. So 10 o'clock is a pretty rough time frame on when this will be moving through, and we'll be monitoring for that very closely. So let me go ahead and look at that, and we'll peek at that just a bit. I'm also curious to see where we are in the Stars game, which it appears is still going on. So the showers and storms are still moving across Dallas-Fort Worth. So let me erase that. We'll look at the latest wind mode of the radar here. And again, I'm just not seeing the incredible winds we were seeing earlier. Again, we're also getting a little bit of weird data that comes in from the radar. But even this is that terminal Doppler radar we were talking about. Notice we had a lot of blues up there. That has now come down. You don't see as much blues. So the overall winds, at least at surface, are coming down. In fact, I've been looking at some of the gusts coming through Roanoke, had a gust around 29 miles per hour. So that does not classify as severe, which is good news, but still a very potent storm that's moving through. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll give you a quick break. We'll be back with more coverage here on Fox Local. Of course, you can go to fox4news.com. You can track the storms using our interactive radar there, as well as on the Fox 4 weather app, and we're going to keep you posted and forewarned as this moves through. Stay with us.
and Texas residents can get $1,000 bonus cash.
Severe storms are moving into North Texas, bringing quite a lightning show, plus high winds and a chance for hail. The latest from Dan Henry coming up.
A large tornado moves through Illinois, damaging several buildings. The latest on the storms in the Midwest and the Central Plains, too.
Plus, the U.S. military says it has destroyed more than a dozen Iranian mine-laying vessels as the Pentagon confirms about 140 troops have been injured in the campaign so far.
And you saw it on Fox 4 tonight. The Dallas Stars try to make it 4 wins in a row against the Vegas Golden Knights. Highlights from the game ahead on Fox 4 News.
Here for you, the news leader, Fox 4.
Parts of North Texas are under a tornado watch. That's going to go through 11 p.m. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. People in our western counties are reporting hail as the storms move across. Here are some of the pictures of the hail. Don't forget to share your pictures on our Fox 4 Facebook page or on our website, fox4news.com.
So we want to take a live look outside. A lot of lightning out there with these storms, but let's go to Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry for the latest. Dan, I know you've been watching this all night.
Yeah, we've been tracking it on Fox Local as well, doing some cut-ins during intermission of the hockey game. Let's run down the watch here first. We've got the tornado watch in red there until 11 o'clock. The severe thunderstorm watch in yellow, including Dallas, Tarrant, and Collin counties and points east until 2 a.m. So here's the big view right now, and that line of strong to severe storms extends from Gainesville and the Red River all the way down now through Denton, Flower Mound, into downtown Fort Worth on the west side of Cleburne. I can tell you that we just had a new warning issued now for Collin County, for northern Dallas County, and for Rockwell County. And we could see wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour and maybe some penny-sized hail. These storms in Tarrant County are moving east at roughly 40 miles an hour. So based on that, that would put it at DFW Airport at 9:49, so less than 10 minutes from now. Richardson at 10:03, downtown Dallas at 10:08, and Rowlett at 10:20. Now, here's the good news. These storms are not as intense as they were earlier this evening when they were producing up to 75, 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Those wind gusts now have come down, and they're topping out maybe at about 60 miles an hour. In addition, the hail size has come down considerably. We had actually a couple reports of up to baseball-sized hail out to our west in Palo Pinto County. Now most of the hail that's being produced by these storms is pocket change. It's much smaller in nature, dimes, pennies, nickels, maybe up to the size of quarters. This line of storms in Denton County and Cook County is moving east at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. That puts it in the Colony at 9:49, Frisco at 9:55, Sherman at 10:29, Wiley at 10:40, and Farmersville at close to 11 o'clock. And then finally, these are below severe limits as you head south of the Metroplex through Johnson County down into the Walnut Springs area. Certainly torrential rain there in red. We're getting probably 1.5 to 2 inch per hour rainfall rates. A lot of cloud-to-ground lightning activity. These are moving east and will impact Johnson, Ellis, and Northern Hill counties over the next hour. So I have adjusted our severe weather impacts here. The strongest wind gusts probably now in that 50 to 60 mile per hour, maybe topping out in a couple of instances up to 65. Hail could be up to the size of $50. And we still can't rule out a brief spin-up tornado or two, as there still is some low-level wind shear where we could see that occur in 1 or 2 instances. But that threat appears to be very low. So mainly a wind threat from this point forward as these storms continue to move east across North Texas. We'll take another look at radar and, of course, your forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Dan, thank you. See you shortly. So we want to take another look at the lightning. This is in northern Tarrant County. This is as the storms rolled in. It's impressive. This was near Texas Motor Speedway, 114 and 35.
And you can tell the cars are going normal speed, so we didn't speed that up when the lightning is ripping across the sky. We do know that is now in downtown Dallas, too. Heather just showed you the live shot, and the lightning was here. Fox 4's Amelia Jones has been tracking the storms in our Fox 4 Drive Cam vehicle tonight. Amelia, what have you seen?
Heather, Steve, I actually took that video that you just showed on 114 and I-35, and wow, we were getting a light show, as you saw. Now, as the storm has moved through and we are heading south on I-35 toward Fort Worth, we are getting a lot of heavy rain and still a lot of lightning. Let me show you the visibility right now. This is our road cam visual that we can give you. Our windshield wipers moving quite rapidly. A lot of people are reducing their speed. My photographer, Sam Hernandez, we're going about 40 miles an hour. The posted speed limit is between 65 to 70 miles an hour. A lot of people on the roadways are doing the exact same thing. We've seen many people drive with their flashers on as well. I'll move to our roof camera now so maybe we can get a look at some of that lightning. You might even have been able to see some lightning with the camera on me in the back frame here. I want to mention that we started our journey south in Denton County. Oh, there we go. That was a big burst of lightning. So in very southern Denton County, there were those large gusts of wind. We are in a SUV and we could feel those winds shaking the car. And that was before any precipitation started coming down. But now in the path of the storm, you're seeing right now on your screen some of that wind gust with the rain, and rain seeming like it's falling sideways. As Dan mentioned, it's a good thing that the winds are weakening, but still 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's a pretty sizable wind gust there. We're not feeling the wind so much on I-35 as we're heading south, but again, it is just this rain threat. It's coming down quite heavy at times, making visibility a little difficult. People are, though, reducing their speed. They're driving with caution. We have not heard of any damage in the area yet. We have also not felt any hail fall on the car yet as well. As Dan mentioned, the storm is weakening a little bit, but hail is not out of the picture, and also that tornado threat is low but still possible, as he mentioned. We are going to continue to head south in this line of the storm as it goes through Fort Worth, and then we will continue to follow it as it makes its way into Dallas. For now, though, guys, that's what we're seeing live here out on the roads. I'll send it back to you.
All right, be careful. Amelia, thank you.
Severe weather is also moving through some of the upper plains state. Illinois, for sure. This tornado was spotted in Kankakee, about 60 miles south of Chicago. You can see debris in the air. The city says several roads are closed due to downed power lines and storm damage. It is asking people to avoid driving in that area. Several streets are flooded. Chicago's 2 airports have been in a ground stop off and on throughout the evening.
Here's a look at the storms as they moved through Oklahoma. This is, gosh, so much lightning with this. So we are going to keep an eye on the weather and bring Dan back if something severe immediately pops up. But of course, he's going to check in with us later in this newscast. The Pentagon says about 140 U.S. troops have been injured so far in the war with Iran, 8 of them seriously hurt.
The U.S. military also says it's destroyed 16 mine-laying vessels near the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier, the defense secretary said today would be the most intense day yet of U.S. strikes inside Iran. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager in studio tonight with the latest. Peyton.
Steve, yeah, we've been following this all day. Iran maintains no desire to negotiate with the United States and even threaten President Trump. Iran previously pledging to choke off a key global shipping lane in the Middle East. Tonight, President Trump posted on Truth Social Iran should remove any mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and if there are, they will be dealt with quickly and violently.
New video released by U.S. Central Command Tuesday evening shows U.S. forces eliminating multiple Iranian naval vessels. It said 16 mine-laying vessels were included in the strikes. Earlier, President Trump said these vessels were inactive. He warned Iran against laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, which connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. It remains unclear if Iran has deployed any mines. 20% of the world's oil passes through that waterway.
I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level.
Tuesday at the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth promising, quote, ruthless precision when describing the U.S. military operations against Iran.
Today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes.
More than 5,000 enemy targets have been hit since the airstrikes began. With a new wave of attacks Tuesday, Secretary Hegseth claims they are crippling Iran's military.
Ballistic missile attacks continue to trend downward 90% from where they've started, and one-way attack drones have decreased 83%.
7 U.S. fatalities have been previously reported. But Tuesday, the Pentagon confirmed 140 U.S. service members have been wounded in the first 10 days of the war with Iran, 8 of them severely injured. That number not mentioned at the Pentagon press conference nor the White House briefing.
Can you confirm that number and elaborate on that?
I can't confirm the exact number. I know it's within that ballpark, but I would defer you to the Pentagon for a specific number of wounded or injured thus far.
Tuesday, Secretary Hegseth also questioned by reporters about civilian casualties in Iran. An all-girls school adjacent to an Iranian military facility that was a U.S. target destroyed. The Trump administration has tried to claim Iran struck the school, but images taken near the school appeared to show fragments of a U.S.-made missile at the site. 165 at the school were killed.
No nation in the history of warfare has ever attempted in every way possible to avoid civilian casualties. And frankly, that's a point that just isn't appreciated enough. Where things happen that need to be investigated, we will investigate.
And also today, Israel continued strikes in nearby Lebanon as it targets one of Iran's proxies, Hezbollah. More than 700,000 people were asked to evacuate parts of Lebanon. 7 people were killed in strikes today. A Red Cross worker injured earlier this week in an Israeli strike succumbed to his injuries. That's the very latest. Steve?
All right, Peyton Yeager in studio. Peyton, thank you for that. AAA says we're paying an average of $3.34 a gallon for regular in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's up 15 cents from yesterday and 54 cents from a week ago. West Texas Intermediate crude was trading at about $89 a barrel this morning. That's down from a high of $120 yesterday and down $6 from yesterday's close, but still remains $22 more than the day the airstrikes on Iran began. Another roller coaster on Wall Street saw mixed but mostly flat finishes today. Indexes finished mixed after sharp opening losses. Investors waited for 2 key inflation readings, neither of which will account for the spike in oil prices. There are thousands of Americans in the Middle East wanting to come home. The State Department has defended its work in getting Americans back after accusations it was not prepared to do that.
Yeah, a nonprofit just helped a grapevine couple return from Dubai, and a professional basketball player finally back home after being in Iran when the war began. Fox 4's Vanya Castillo spoke to all 3 of them. Vanya.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Heather. Yeah, 10 days. That's how long it took that couple to get back to the United States after the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. Now, I went and spoke with them just moments after they landed on U.S. soil.
Vacation mode is over, survival mode is on.
That moment came just days into what was supposed to be a celebration of love. Dr. Emmanuel Dalavia and his wife Julie had spent months planning a trip to Dubai for their 20th wedding anniversary.
I had planned this out for like 6 months. The 20th anniversary, wanted to do something meaningful.
But just 2 days into the trip, the region erupted into war after the United States and Israel attacked Iran.
We were monitoring the news, and we had heard that there were some attacks by the U.S. and Israel, joint attacks, and we thought, oh no, something's up.
At the same time, another North Texan was watching it all from inside Iran. Sabria Dean had been playing professional basketball for a team in Iran. She says her teammates had heard rumors of war, and because of the internet blackouts in Iran, asked her to call her mom, who was in the United States, about what was being reported.
And so I FaceTimed her, and she showed me the TV, and it was like war or peace this weekend, like potential strikes. And I was like, wait, like, y'all, I think this might be serious after I hung up the phone with my mom. That's when the first bomb dropped outside.
Once the bombing had stopped long enough to move, she escaped to safety in a flight out through Turkey.
I think it took me about 2 or 3 days to get home. But during that entire time, like, yes, I was scared. Like, it was a frightening situation, but I was worried about getting home.
Meanwhile, after days of trying to get in touch with the State Department, Davia and his wife turned to a veteran-led nonprofit called Project Dynamo for help. The rescue meant a drive across the desert to Oman, where they could finally get a flight out in Germany.
We do it because we love our country and we love our fellow Americans. And truth is that there is no one else coming for you. And we do it because we can do it and we want to do it. And it's the right thing to do.
The couple says the rescue team quickly became family.
I told James, I said, man, hey, you're grafted into a Dalavai family, whether you like it or not.
Well, Project Dynamo says they've helped evacuate over 7,500 Americans and allies from conflict zones since 2021. Back to you guys.
All right, Vanya Castillo, live. Thank you.
A Dallas woman says she was violently attacked by a group of people after she confronted them for parking in her reserved parking place.
Also ahead tonight, another look at the weather, a live look from our Fox 4 storm chaser Aaron Eastman, who's in Grapevine. The storm has arrived in...
Sure has. Yeah, look at that line.
Gosh, really, in Tarrant County. Dan Henry, back after the break.
On Fox.
Josh John's in the Weather Center with me. We're monitoring the weather situation, and you can see this is our downtown Fort Worth tower camera, and the lightning lighting up the sky there. Temperature still 77 at Love Field, but we've fallen down to 63 at DFW. Now, we've got the tornado watch in red there until 11 o'clock tonight for areas to the west and northwest of Dallas and Fort Worth, and a severe thunderstorm watch For the remainder of the area, including Dallas and Tarrant counties, that runs as late as 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't see the threat of severe weather, though, lasting that long here in the Metroplex. Latest wind gust at DFW 46, 66 miles an hour up in Gainesville. That is one of the highest wind gusts that we've seen, certainly here across North Texas. Here's a look at the radar now, and at this point in time, I'm going to let Josh run the controls, but I do want to run down the warnings here for you. The newest flash flood warnings that have been issued for Denton County, Collin County, Dallas County, Tarrant County, all now under flash flood warnings, in addition to severe thunderstorm warnings. So you can see the leading edge of the line here, tracking into western Collin County, swinging back into the Coppell area, Arlington, Mansfield. Josh, if you would, let's track this portion of the storm heading eastward through Collin County, roughly at about a 40-mile-per-hour pace or so, just to give an idea of the estimated arrival times there. And he's going to take that all the way down into northern Dallas County as well. So Irving at 9:58. Plano at 10:05, Murphy at 10:15, Garland at 10:21, Rowlett at 10:27. Now the winds not quite as intense as they were earlier this evening, but we could see those winds peak out at about 60 miles an hour as we head a little farther southward. These are torrential downpours, no doubt about it, in Irving, the Las Colinas area, heading back towards Arlington, into southeast Fort Worth. Now let's go ahead and track this one as well, if you would, Josh. Extend that to the east to give some more estimated arrival times for southern portions of the Metroplex. So we take that out eastward. Grand Prairie 10:03, Cockrell Hill at 10:13, Oak Cliff at 10:20, and DeSoto at 10:24. And we're looking for the same thing. Winds may be peaking out as high as 60 mile per hour in gusts. We're not seeing any indications of any large hail. So if we do see hail, it's going to be the smaller variety. Pea-sized hail, dimes, pennies, maybe up to the size of nickels. And let's slide down to the south as well and take a look at the storms south of the Metroplex. Right now, they are below severe limits. Oh, there's the latest severe thunderstorm warning again. Collin County, Cook County, Dallas County, Grayson County. Again, we're looking for less than 3/4 inch of hail, but wind gusts that could be on the order of 60 miles an hour. These are strong. I would characterize them as maybe producing up to 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. A lot of cloud to ground lightning in Johnson County there. In fact, from our chat session, we are told that there was one home struck by lightning in Bridgeport that left a hole in the roof, and another home in the small community of Aurora that was also struck by lightning. So that is a threat with these. They are producing quite a bit of cloud to ground lightning. Josh, tracking that one as well off to the east. Venus, your estimated arrival time 10:08, Midlothian 10:15, Glen Heights 10:25, Waxahachie 10:32, and Ferris at 10:43. We may still see a low end threat of a brief spin up tornado or two, but by and large, heavy rain, the potential of flooding, and wind gusts that could top out at around 60 miles an hour as this line of storms continues to rumble eastward across North Texas. That's the latest. We'll, of course, be back in a few minutes with another look at radar and your 7-day forecast coming up. Steve, Heather?
All right, Dan, thanks. Another live drive camera picture. Currently heading east on 183, driving through Bedford, and yes, the rain is really coming down there.
And we're going to have more on the severe weather moving across North Texas a little bit later in the newscast.
A Dallas woman is recovering after she says a group of people attacked her over a parking spot.
So this happened at her Pleasant Grove apartment. It happened last week. Fox 4's David Sentendry spoke with the woman. He joins us now live. David.
So the woman who was attacked says she pays a monthly fee to have an assigned parking space outside of her apartment. But she says when her and her husband realized someone else was parking it, they asked them to leave. But instead, that turned into a violent attack against them.
And I saved this spot
for my husband when he gets off work.
Living at Harper Apartments in Dallas's Pleasant Grove neighborhood, Grace Reese showed Fox 4 paperwork indicating she pays $50 per month to park a vehicle under a carport. Signage reads, covered parking reserved, towing enforced. Reese says she's assigned to spot number 84, a spot her husband realized someone else was in last week.
He came home, he told me somebody was parked in our spot, and he's like, it's okay, I'll just wait. It looks like they're about to leave.
Reese, however, says a group of 5 people with the vehicle, who she believes were visiting someone and do not live in the complex, refused to leave.
They did not want to listen. They came up in my face.
And she says it turned violent during an attack against her.
And I said, okay, I'm going to make a call now. And that's when the little one, she hit me first. And I'm like, are you serious? And just adrenaline kicked in. And I was just trying to push her away. And then some more added on top. And then it just kept escalating from there.
Fox 4 choosing to blur photos Reese is sharing of her injuries. Dallas Police Department confirms to Fox 4 an argument escalated into a physical assault by multiple suspects against Reese. No arrests have been made.
It was hard to pinpoint anything because they're just on top of me. They're yelling. I could barely understand them because all of them were yelling at once.
Of the group of 5 people, Reese says it was 4 women and a man.
You may have beaten me up, but it was 5 against 1. So, I mean, I had no chance.
After the assault, Reese took photos of the vehicle to share with police in hopes of finding the group.
And we will eventually figure out who it is, and you will be brought to justice, hopefully.
Management of Harper Apartment Complex has not responded to a list of questions we sent over. Of course, if anyone has information on those suspects, they can reach out to Dallas Police Department. Heather?
Sure, somebody will. All right, David, thank you.
State investigators in New Mexico are launching a new search at a huge ranch Jeffrey Epstein once owned. The convicted sex offender bought the Zorro Ranch in 1993. There are new allegations that the secluded property may have been used for the abuse and trafficking of young women we've heard about at the Epstein Island retreat. The family of Don Huffines from Plano bought the property in 2023. He's a Republican candidate for Texas comptroller who won the Republican primary last week. Huffines says he wants to turn the ranch into a religious retreat. Some voters in Georgia were back to the polls today to choose a new representative. District 14 Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned from the seat months ago. 2 candidates, Democrat Sean Harris and Republican Clayton Fuller, are now set to run off. Fuller had been backed by President Trump. 17 candidates had qualified for the ballot. The runoff will be held next month.
A Florida woman is charged with attempted murder and other felony charges after firing gunshots at Rihanna's home in Los Angeles. And she and her partner, A$AP Rocky, and their 3 children were all on the property when those shots were fired. Nobody was hurt. Prosecutors say 35-year-old Ivana Ortiz fired at the home from her car. She was ordered held at nearly $2 million bond, and a judge issued a protective order for Ortiz to stay away from Rihanna and her family. Coming up ahead of the Grand Prix of Arlington, the National Medal of Honor Museum is showing off a new exhibit celebrating a World War I pilot who went on to become a professional driver.
The Dallas Stars host the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Fox 4's Mike Ducey has more from the game and on a very historic night in the NBA. Ahead on Fox 4 News.
Plus another look at the radar and our Fox 4 Drive cam as well. Dan Henry will be back a little later with an update on Fox 4 News.
All right, another look at the live Doppler forewarn radar, and that line of storms is moving right across our viewing area. On the right is a tower cam picture from Fort Worth. We are seeing a lot of lightning on that tower cam shot.
Yeah, we're going to check back in with Dan in just a few minutes. The Dallas Stars were able to fend off the Vegas Golden Knights, picking up more points in a win that you saw right here on Fox 4. One of the biggest deals so far during this NFL free agency falls apart as well. Fox 4's Mike Ducey in now with more. Hello, Mike.
Hi, guys. The Stars had taken a point out of 12 consecutive games. Again, that means they'd not lost a game in regulation during that time. And tonight they try to keep that streak alive against a team that has become quite a rival, the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's go to the first period from the AAC. The Stars with a golden opportunity. It's Colin Blackwell on his own, but he hits the post and the game remains scoreless. Stays that way through one. Vegas, the first team to score tonight. U.S. Olympian Jack Eichel beats Ottinger to the short side. 1-0 Vegas. Shortly after that, Vegas has other chances to expand the lead. Ottinger, though, steps up with a couple of big-time saves. Vegas had outshot Dallas 10-3 at that point. Midway through the second now. Blackwell again working hard. There he goes, diving, getting it to the net, and Oscar Beck is there to clean it up with the goal. It's a 1-1 game. Dallas then would take a lead on a power play, a flurry out front. Jamie Benn gets it. That's 10 straight games with a power play goal for Dallas. That one puts them up 2-1. Final seconds of the third now. Stars trying to hang on. Empty net for Vegas, 6-on-5 advantage. Ottinger turns them away repeatedly. And the Stars do hang on, getting the win 2-1. That's 12 wins in their last 13 games, and now a point taken in all 13. Coach Glenn Gulletson after the game saying his team's depth is paying off in wins like this one.
You're not going to win it with one line, two lines. You got to win it with your depth. You know, when all the good teams start playing each other, when it's down to 16 and then 8 and then 4, you're going to need more than, you know, the superstars can saw off. Some nights you're going to need those other guys. So I think our group has got a lot of guys that are bought in and feel that, you know, they're counted on to make a difference.
Huge NFL news tonight. The Max Crosby deal is off. He'd been traded by the Raiders to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round draft picks. The agreement had been reached but could not be officially signed until tomorrow. And tonight, the deal falls through. The Raiders made that announcement on social media saying that the Ravens had backed out. Now reports say that Crosby failed a Baltimore physical, and that's why the deal fell through. Crosby's coming off meniscus surgery, a knee procedure, in his case not thought to be terribly serious. And tonight, one of the great scoring performances in NBA history. In Miami, Bam Adebayo of the Heat scores 83 points in a Miami win over Washington. It's the second highest single-game scoring mark in NBA history. Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 in a game back in 1962. Kobe Bryant had 81 in a game in 2006. Adebayo with 83 tonight. He was 20 of 43 from the field with 7 three-pointers, 36 of 43 from the free throw line. Miami beat Washington 150 to 129. Free-for-all is coming up tonight, about 10:40, our projected starting time. Will the Cowboys get back into the bidding for Max Crosby? They reportedly had offered a first and second round pick before the Raiders turned him down. We're talking about that and more when Jeff Kolb joins me from American Airlines Center. Plenty of Stars wrap up as well on Free-for-all coming up after the news. Guys?
All right. Thanks, Mike.
As racing fans descend on Arlington for the inaugural Grand Prix of Arlington, the National Medal of Honor Museum is hosting a series of events connecting speed on the track to service beyond.
Today, the museum shared the story of Edward Rickenbacker. Before becoming America's leading World War I ace, Rickenbacker was one of the fastest men in America. He would go on to drive in the first Indy 500. The special exhibit features the car he drove during that race.
He finished in 10th place, but honestly, it was pretty impressive that he finished it all during that time period. With the car technology being what it was, is really impressive. And obviously, to see the technology of the car here, to have our visitors visit it, coinciding with Grand Prix here in Arlington, we hope to have lots of race fans come check it out.
That's pretty fun. The car is on loan from the Indianapolis Speedway Museum in Indiana.
All right, the Java House Grand Prix of Arlington begins at 11:30 Sunday morning. You can watch it right here on Fox 4.
Another look at radar as severe thunderstorms continue to rumble across North Texas. I've got the latest look at your 7-day forecast, too, coming up.
Hail in downtown Chicago tonight. Storms moving through that area.
All right, so this is along Chicago's famous Michigan Avenue. The hail wasn't that big in downtown, just the size of about pennies. Fox 4's Amelia Jones and Florida journalist Sam Hernandez, they're headed north. How did I pick that up?
How'd you know?
I'm so smart, I can just tell. I heard you, Amelia. I heard you describe where you're going. They've been tracking storms all evening in the Fox 4 Drive camera vehicle. Amelia, what are you seeing now?
Hi, Steve, Heather. Yeah, we are heading north. I was just asking my photographer Sam to make sure I got the location correct. We're on Loop 12 coming up to I-35 here. So what you really want to see is this vibrant lightning here. So I'm going to show you the roof cam visual. We have just seen a lightning really put on a show here. I did hear a couple claps of thunder as well as we were driving through Irving. We're on the very edge, the leading edge of this storm as it continues to push east. This is heavier rain than what we were seeing a little bit south as, we were driving south towards Fort Worth and then as we crossed over into Irving. So visibility is better than it was, but again, we're on this leading edge. The heavier stuff is going to make its way through. About in 9:45, we were driving through in really heavy bouts of rain here. We're going through some standing water right now. That's how fast and how much precipitation is coming down. You see people driving with their flashers on. People are also driving at reduced speeds. We're going about 37 miles an hour here. The rain looks like it's coming down a little bit heavier here in this portion as we're moving north. We know the storm's going to continue to push east as it moves into Dallas and then the eastern counties of our viewing area. Wow, we just saw a nice burst of lightning there. We have not heard any reports of damage so far from this storm. I want to point out earlier when we started our journey back towards Dallas, those high-powered gusts of winds, those 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, that's what came first before we got any of the rain. And it was shaking our SUV as we were just waiting in a parking lot to get ready for our live hit. But we'll continue tracking this for you as it moves further east into DFW. This is what we're seeing right now, though, on the roads.
Thank you, Amelia. Now, before this line of storms began forming, we saw a couple big supercells. Those are the rotating storms, and one of those produced a brief tornado touchdown caught by our storm chaser, Chad Casey. This was in the very small town of Potosi, about 30 miles southwest of Eastland, about 25 miles southeast of Abilene. And you can see pretty much it lifted there. Wasn't on the ground very long. That tornado watch has been canceled for much of the area. There's one county that remains under it here in North Texas. That's Grayson County. Elsewhere, we've got the severe thunderstorm watch in yellow for Dallas and Tarrant counties, eastward through Greenville and Sulphur Springs, down through the Waco area. That said, we have noticed with time a downward trend in the intensity of these storms. This is a massive weather system here. You can see snow in its northern flank from the Dakotas all the way up into north of Minneapolis right now. Big time severe weather earlier in Illinois. We showed you the big tornado there around Kankakee. There are severe thunderstorm warnings on the south side of Chicago right now, around the Kansas City area. And of course, here at home, the news is that those severe thunderstorm warnings were actually allowed to expire. And so we are no longer under severe thunderstorm warnings across North Texas. We've got flash flood warnings, though, that continue for Denton County, Tarrant County, Dallas County, and into Collin County. These torrential downpours could trigger some instances of flash flooding. So here's the northern end of the line. This is what's been producing some of the higher wind gusts. When it came through Gainesville, we had a gust of 66. We're not seeing that potential. I think the winds are maybe going to peak out around 50, 55, possibly up to 60 miles an hour. These storms will arrive in the bottom area around 10:39, Wolf City at 10:45, Commerce closer to 11 o'clock. We take you down into Dallas County. Boy, what a cloud-to-ground lightning display we're seeing at this hour right now, moving into downtown Dallas. These storms moving east roughly at 40 miles an hour, puts them in Garland at 1023, Mesquite 1031, Forney at 1044, Kaufman at 1106, and finally the west shores of Lake Tawakoni at roughly 1117. Torrential downpours, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. The hail size has also come down considerably. In fact, most of these storms are really not producing any hail at all at this point in time. And if they do, it would likely be small, pea size, dime size, penny size, that variety. And some strong storms continue to rumble across Johnson County into Ellis County. The other good news, we're not seeing any rotation signatures on radar like we were earlier this evening. So looking at the severe weather threats, wind gusts may top out close to severe levels, up around 55 miles per hour. We might, in a couple instances, maybe see up to a quarter-sized hail, and there's a very low potential of a brief spin-up tornado, but even that threat is going down. Now, tomorrow there's a small window for a few storms to potentially turn severe. That threat, though, is really going to be confined to East Texas and to southeastern portions of North Texas, roughly from Van Zandt County, the Athens area, Corsicana, down through Mahia and Palestine. Looking out there right now, that is our Dallas tower camera lighting up with lightning strikes. 62 now at DFW. We're down 20 degrees from our afternoon temperature. 63 Love Field, 67 Alliance. We'll take the rain. We certainly do need it. That's for sure. There's a look at the cooler air spreading in. It's upper 50s to low 60s from DFW to the north and west, and where the storms quite haven't reached yet, we're still in the mid-70s, Mineola, Canton, into the Tyler vicinity. So here's Futurecast. These storms will continue to head eastbound over the next few hours. They will likely stay just below severe levels. It's not out of the question we could see a couple more warnings issued, but the severe weather threat now, compared to what it was earlier this evening, has certainly decreased. Showers and storms continue after midnight. They'll likely not be severe. Tomorrow morning, just a few scattered showers, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder. Here comes the cold front, though. As that charges in from the north and west, it may help to briefly intensify some storms off to our south and east. This front, though, is going to bring in cooler, drier air that you'll start to feel late tomorrow afternoon. You'll likely wake up to temperatures in the low 40s early Thursday morning. And Thursday afternoon, with bright sunshine, we should see high temperatures reach the mid-60s. So all we have to do is really get through tonight, and there'll be a few of us to the east that see some storms tomorrow. But beyond that, the weather is looking much nicer. Thursday, 65. We'll take it up to 78, bright sunshine on Friday. Breezes kick up. On Saturday, that will kick our temperature up to 83. Sunday is a windy day. I think we'll top out around 80, but a strong cold front will be blowing through here later in the afternoon, and that will spell a much cooler start to next week. Monday's high 58. St. Patrick's Day, we're back in the 60s.
All right, Dan, thank you. Here you go. Find live radar on the Fox 4 weather app. The app also gives you information on watches and warnings. Plus, you can watch a newscast. Scan that QR code on your screen. The app is free. Chicago area has been hit with some pretty severe weather as well.
Yeah, a tornado struck Kankakee. That's about an hour south of the Chicagoland area. Fox's Leslie Marino reports.
I can tell you several injuries reported here. Thankfully, no deaths. We're being told several people had to be taken away by ambulance. One person, we're being told, had a fridge fall on them. I want to show you the extent of the damage here, the power of Mother Nature. This is on Industrial and Stewart Road in Kankakee. This building there, you can see, took a brunt of the damage. This is a car detailing business. I'm being told, again, thankfully no one was inside when that tornado hit here, but you can see a big chunk of the roof there was torn off. 2 cars as well. If you can see, they're closely smushed under debris, trees, and power lines. The Kankakee County Sheriff's Office says at least 1 confirmed tornado touchdown here south of Kankakee near the fairgrounds. The tornado, we're being told, moved northeast, crossed the Kankakee River, and went into Aroma Park, where extensive damage is being reported there as well. A nearby motel also got hit pretty bad. We spoke to the Pompano Fire Department Assistant Chief about that. Take a listen to what he had to say.
So far, well, you see, just we did have some tornadoes touch down. They hit this building behind us and some of the buildings a little bit farther north. It did, I don't know how far it went to the east, but the buildings on the east side of the road have been damaged as well. There's a residential motel right over there where some individuals were trapped. Not, injured or anything like that, but mainly with the debris. So we made some headway over there with some firefighters, and they're in the process of evacuating them out toward this area out of the danger zone.
Yeah, a lot of widespread damage out here, Don. Again, crews out here still assessing the damage to determine whether this was an F1 or F2. I did hear a meteorologist earlier this evening say it could possibly be an F2, just based going off of what the damage looks like here. We are being told that residents are urged to limit travel because of, again, fallen trees, debris, down power lines, are urging residents to stay home. We're also being told that the 911 call center is extremely overwhelmed right now, so officials here are asking people and urging people to avoid calling 911 unless it's an absolute emergency.
All right, coming up, another big get for the state of Texas as ExxonMobil makes a big announcement about the company's future.
2 years after their family dog disappeared, a Glen Heights family finally gets the call they've been waiting for. ExxonMobil says it will move its legal home from New Jersey to Texas. The company cited the state's business-friendly legal environment, and after years of shareholder and climate-related legal battles, they decided to make the move. Exxon's operating headquarters has been in Houston since 1989, and CEO Darren Woods says he believes Texas better understands the oil and gas industry. If the move is approved by shareholders, Exxon would become the latest high-profile company to register for business in Texas.
Facebook parent company Meta says it's acquiring Moltbook, which is a social network built exclusively for AI agents to make posts and interact with each other. It comes weeks after Moltbook attracted viral attention as an unusual Reddit-like hub for AI systems to trade gossip.
Today is the 150th anniversary of the first telephone call. To celebrate the major technology and communication milestone, AT&T opened a pop-up museum in Dallas today. It was open to the public today, and it'll run through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the AT&T Discovery District. Visitors can see the patent issued to Alexander Graham Bell in 1876 and the wires used experimenting on the technology. That is really cool. More Fox 4 News after the break.
A dog that went missing here in Texas 2 years ago is now headed home after it was found in New Jersey. A New Jersey police department took in a lost dog, and then they linked that dog to her owners here in Texas.
Clark police say a resident in the area called the police to report a lost dog roaming around. A patrolman picked up Coco and used a chip reader to identify the number of a pet finder device. Her owners, who live in Glen Heights, were shocked and happily reunited.
Happy ending, nice.
A long way away from home.
Right, little adventure.
Yes, adventurous. Road trip. Thank you for watching Fox 4 News after the Stars game tonight.
Free for all starts in just 15 seconds.
Why pay designer prices when you can get the same look for so much less? At HomeZone, we build our furniture ourselves, so you get quality and style without the markups. HomeZone, we're different.
I'm Mike Ducey. Welcome to Free for All. Sam's off tonight. Jeff's live at the AAC with Stars. Post-game coming up. We're also talking tonight about a stunning development in the NFL. The Max Crosby to Baltimore deal is off. First, though, Fox 4 Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry here with an update on tonight's stormy weather. Dan?
Thank you, Deuce. Yeah, let's start off with a video earlier today from Chad Casey. These were some of the initial supercells that had developed, and this one spawned a brief tornado that he captured. Small town of Potosi, which is about 25 miles to the southeast of Abilene. There's a better view of it just beyond those trees. You can see the condensation funnel, and there was a little bit of a swirl at ground level, and that is what we look for to determine whether or not there's been a tornado touchdown. And boy, you can see it right there. There indeed was at least a brief touchdown. So at this point in time, that tornado watch has pretty much all been canceled. There's only one county left in it. That's Grayson County. The rest of us under that severe thunderstorm watch, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area, until 2 a.m. But the severe weather threat is not going to last that long. In fact, these storms have been slowly but surely coming down in intensity since they first fired up out to our west. They were packing 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts west in the Metroplex, but that is not the case at this point in time. In fact, there are no severe thunderstorm warnings currently in effect. We do have, though, some torrential downpours and frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. You can see the leading edge stretching from Bonham and Leonard down towards Farmersville and Nevada. These are heading eastbound. There are flash flood warnings in effect in the wake of these in Collin County and Denton County, and we could see at least some spotty flash flooding across areas, especially poor drainage areas, construction zones where the water just doesn't flow as well. Very heavy rain making its way into Mesquite. Frequent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. There have already been at least a couple of fires started by cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. These are moving east now, roughly at about 40 miles an hour, so timing those out would put them in Terrell at 10:56, Oak Ridge at 11:02, Kaufman at 11:10, Wills Point at 11:22, and just some run-of-the-mill showers and storms farther south through Waxahachie into northern Hill County. There's a look at radar estimated rainfall, and most of us have seen less than 2 inches of rain. The severe weather threat again continues to slowly wind down. There could be a few storms that peak out with a 55 mile an hour wind gust, hail maybe up to the size of nickels, and some localized flooding. Tomorrow, just a small window where we could see a few strong borderline severe storms, but that's mainly off to our east and southeast. Right now, we're holding at 62 at DFW and at Love Field, and 67 at Alliance. So once we get past tomorrow, it is smooth sailing through the weekend. It will be cooler on Thursday as we bring the sun back. Friday up to 78. Saturday's high is 83. One more warm day Sunday, and then a gusty cold front will bring cool air back in here early next week.
Dan Henry with the latest on our weather. Dan will be keeping an eye on things, of course, throughout the evening. Thanks very much. Stars beat the Vegas Golden Knights 2-1 tonight here on Fox 4. Our Jeff Kolb covered it for us and is going to have some post-game interviews in a moment. But, Jeff, first, wanted to get an initial thought from you. Ottinger sharp tonight. Stars getting just enough done offensively to get this one in the win column tonight.
Yeah, Mike, first and foremost, this was Noche Mexicana night, and the Stars, they were muy bueno. We saw the last two games, of course. They let third period lead slip away, wound up in overtime. Not tonight. And afterwards, head coach Glenn Gulletson told us that he didn't want the whole letting lead slip away thing to become a narrative that we talk about more than we need to. They did not tonight. And really, Mike, the only kind of streak or trend that this team is allowing us to talk about is the right kind of streak, a point streak, a power play goal scored streak. Those both extended here tonight in this win.
Post-game reaction from the guys. First, some highlights from Stars and Golden Knights, the AAC tonight. First period, Dallas with a golden opportunity. Colin Blackwell on his own. The backhand hits the post, and the game remains scoreless. It will remain that way through one. Vegas, the first team to score on this night. U.S. Olympian Jack Eichel beats Ottinger. 1-0 Vegas early second period. And shortly after that, Vegas has other chances to expand the lead, but Ottinger steps up with some dynamic saves. Vegas had outshot Dallas 10-3 at one point. Midway through the second now, Blackwell again working hard on the charge, diving. Oscar Beck is there to clean it up, and Dallas ties it at 1. Then the Stars would take a lead at a power play, a flurry out front. Jamie Benn gets the goal. That's 10 straight games with a power play goal for Dallas. That one puts them in front 2-1. Final seconds of the third now. Stars still up a goal. Empty net for Vegas. 6-on-5 advantage for the Golden Knights, but Ottinger turns them away, and the Stars hang on. 2-1 your final. 12 wins in the last 13 games now for the Stars, and a point taken in all 13. All right, it is Front Four time, and let's head back to the AAC, where our Jeff Kolb is there with post-game reaction for the Stars after this victory. Jeff?
Yeah, Mike, Glenn Gulletson was asked after this game about Colin Blackwell, and he pointed out the fact that we were asking him about Blackwell. Of course, not one of the superstars on this team. And Gully said, listen, a guy like Blackwell at 5'8", 5'9", he's not in this league without having an internal engine that does not quit. And you just showed it in the highlights. He misses, hits a post on that first period goal attempt, really had a good look at it, doesn't quit, winds up forcing the game-tying goal, getting an assist for Oscar Beck. He's not a superstar, but he is one of these guys, these supporting cast guys that has allowed Dallas to extend this game streak with a point to 13 and also this power play goal streak to 10 straight games.
Yeah, I think it's next man up mentality from that. And then at the same time, we've been getting contributions from a lot of different people over the course of this stretch. And I think our identity is slowly folding in the right direction here. And we're just trying to play the game the right way. And I think when you do that, you're getting, like I said, contributions from everyone up and down the lineup and a lot of good efforts. And everyone's getting rewarded here.
And for you, there was that moment in the first period, put one off the post, but you're able to keep fighting, keep making your way towards the net, and you set up Oscar for his goal. What is it like to just keep persevering through maybe a frustrating early moment and find your way to contribute to a goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been a little snake bit this year from just some of the opportunities. So I think when you hit one off the post, kind of had him beat, and that's on me not being able to lift the puck. But I think just try not to get frustrated. I think especially when it's early in the game, that can make and break your game, whether you kind of dwell on it or just kind of put it behind you and move on to the next one. So definitely feels a little bit better to get it off your chest when you get another opportunity, and Oscar is able to, bang it home, and big goal for us and big goal for our team. So yeah, I was just happy to be a part of it.
I know you respect your captain, Jamie Benn, for a lot of different things, standing up for yourself at different points throughout the season. What is it like to see him swat that one in and extend another streak, a power play goal scoring streak to 10 games?
Yeah, I mean, our power play has been, pretty elite for us this year, and they've been huge, and I think special teams is key on that. But yeah, Jamie, he's a big baseball guy too, so for him to be able to bat one out of midair is pretty special. And he's the heart and soul of our team, so when he's playing physical, like you said, and then he's able to get a goal, it's a huge lift for our team. And especially when it's on the power play, they've been hot and been able to kind of make or break a lot of games for us. So it's pretty big moving forward, and happy for him.
Finally, the schedule is grueling here coming up. This was the first of 7 straight teams that you guys faced that right now would be in the playoffs. You remember how last season ended down the stretch in the regular season. You guys don't want to repeat that. What has allowed this team to continue this hot stretch, and what is the key to making sure it extends as you wait, for Rope and Mikko to get back?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of one of those things where I think if you play the game the right way, you create your own luck, and you set yourself up to succeed a lot. So I think for us, it's just sticking to the game plan. I try not to worry about other teams. Obviously, make a couple adjustments here and there depending on what other teams are doing, what kind of system they have. But at the end of the day, it's our work ethic. I think work ethic beats skill, and then our skill that we have in the room is going to take over. So if we can do that for not just 20 minutes, 40 minutes, a whole 60-minute effort, then we're going to be successful most nights. And I think that's the key, is just sticking with it, regardless of what the outcome is. And we can be happy with our effort. We're going to be happy with the results.
It's been small margins these last 3 Western Conference Finals that have doomed the Stars ultimately. Gulletson saying after this game during his press conference that you need more than your superstars. You need other guys that can contribute. Colin Blackwell and the others are certainly showing during this hot streak that they can make an impact.
Yeah, that depth, definitely one of the themes right now for this team, Jeff. Let's go to number 2 in the front 4 now. And Gulletson was providing injury updates for a couple of prominent Dallas Stars today. Coach saying that Mikko Rantanen skated Monday for the first time since returning from the Olympics. Got hurt, lower body injury in Finland's semifinal loss to Canada. He has not yet returned to action for the Stars after that. Gully now saying it could be between 2 and 2.5 more weeks before we see Rantanen. Roope Hintz, meantime, will not need surgery after injuring his left leg last Friday during the loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Gulletson says that injury is week to week and that, quote, hopefully he can return before the playoffs. Showing off their depth, Jeff, is nice, but as you referenced, the schedule gets salty here, so it would help if they could get these guys back sooner than later, right?
It would. I think first and foremost on the Roope Hintz front, when you saw that moment happen Friday night here, his leg buckle, I think a lot of us worried this could require surgery. This could maybe be a season ender. So that's some fortunate news, even though we'll see if he returns before the end of the regular season. And even with Mikko, you're looking at maybe 5 or 6 games before the postseason, which does make a difference. I think a few things that are really key right now, Mike. One, you have to give Glenn Gulletson a lot of credit. You know, his first year back here as the head coach, he has established a culture, a system that it certainly looks like everyone has bought into it. And he even said it after this game. He said, you know, everyone feels like they have a little piece of this. And so even your fourth line guys, your guys that are being healthy scratches on a night like tonight, when they get their chance, they're ready, they feel into it, they're contributing. And then the leader who has been a constant, you know, for a long time here, Jamie Benn, Gully pointed him out and said that, you know, he is really making the young guys on this team feel value. He is vocally doing that. And so it was a big goal tonight for Jamie Benn, just his 12th of the year. Of course, it's not as much of a statistical contribution as it was a decade ago, but you cannot put really a value on what he brings to this team.
Yeah, Ben continuing to set a tone, that's for sure. Let's go to our viewer poll question here before we continue with Jeff. It is this: with Rantanen and Hintz out, which player needs to fill this offensive void? Which one is most valuable in that regard? Robo, Wyatt Johnston, Duchesne, Maverick Bork, Jason Robertson with a slim lead so far. Go to fox4news.com/free-for-all or scan the barcode on your screen. Go to number 3 now in the front 4. A huge development in the NFL tonight. The Max Crosby to the Ravens deal has fallen through after he reportedly failed his physical. The Raiders posted the news on social media, simply writing that the Ravens had backed out of the deal with the Raiders. Baltimore had sent 2 first-round draft picks to the Raiders in exchange for the all-pro pass rusher. No deals can be signed until mid-afternoon tomorrow, so it wasn't officially official. Reports now say that Crosby had failed a physical, presumably related to the knee injury and the surgery that he had undergone earlier this year. The Cowboys reportedly had offered a first and a second in exchange for Crosby. So you know where this is going, Jeff. Should they reopen talks with the Raiders? What say you?
Well, I think there are still some major questions that I don't feel like we have the answers to. So number one, did he really fail this physical in a bad sense? Or did Baltimore maybe have some second thoughts and decide they wanted out of this? They wanted to save those first-round picks this year and next year. I mean, it was common knowledge that Max Crosby had surgery on a meniscus January 8th. So you knew there was something there, and I saw one comment put out, I believe by his agent tonight after this whole thing broke, this whole story, that said that, you know, he's actually ahead of schedule in his recovery, that he should be fine. So I think if you're the Cowboys, if it's not a major injury and now the price tag has gone down, you have to get back in on this. And the one other thing I'll add, Mike, you mentioned that deals are not officially signed until tomorrow afternoon for free agents. Well, there were a couple of linebackers that Vegas wound up making deals with in free agency that the Cowboys were really interested in. And now Vegas has this really difficult situation where they're taking back the huge contract of Crosby. I don't know if it affects those deals at all, but if it does, I'd be really curious to see if the Cowboys get back in on those guys.
You have to at least explore it if you're the Cowboys, I think. And on the physical, thing. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but I think what one doctor sees, another one might see differently in terms of progress and risk regarding Max Crosby. Jane Slater of the NFL Network reported, by the way, that her Cowboys sources say that they're not interested anymore, that they've moved on. That may just be posturing. We'll see about that. Let's go to number 4 now, Jeff, and let's evaluate what the Cowboys have done so far in terms of free agency. Again, the discussions have been had, agreements have been reached that presumably will not be broken in the Cowboys' case. The official opening of free agency is tomorrow, as we said. But the biggest moves for Dallas, agreeing to terms with safety Jalen Thompson of the Cardinals and trading for Packers pass rusher Rashawn Gary, sending a 2027 fourth-round pick to Green Bay to get that deal done. They also agreed to deals with Denver safety P.J. Locke and Chargers defensive tackle Otito Ogbonnia today. Neither player likely to be a starter there, but maybe adding some depth defensively. And they restructure the contract to Kenny Clark to free up nearly $9 million in cap space. I guess the positive theme from a Cowboys standpoint, in my opinion, Jeff, is all of these moves are designed to try to improve the defense. That's a no-brainer, but with this team, you never know if they're going to get cute or not. I think they're handling it so far the way they need to, but a lot more needs to be done, clearly.
Yeah, I like Gary. I like Thompson. I think those are strong moves. And I think as we evaluate this offseason as a whole, we have to keep in mind, Mike, that you kept George Pickens, you kept Javonte Williams. Those are two guys that are huge that could have become free agents. The big thing is you have to take more pressure off your draft. They cannot be done in free agency here. You have the 2 first-round picks, but after that, Mike, there's nothing until the 4th round on day 3, pick 112. So they cannot be done here. They need to strike again tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, good point on Pickens and Williams, moves that were made to retain valuable members of that Dallas offense that was so good last year. Our Jeff Kolb covering the Stars' win against Vegas tonight at American Airlines Center. Jeff, thank you very much. All right, also tonight, one of the great scoring performances in NBA history. It came in Miami. Bam Adebayo of the Heat scoring 83 points in a Miami win over Washington. It's the second highest single-game scoring mark in NBA history. Of course, Wilt scored 100 in a game in 1962. Kobe scored 81 in a game back in 06. Adebayo with 83 tonight. He was 20 of 43 from the field with 7 3-pointers, 36 out of 43 from the free throw line as Miami defeated Washington 150 to 129. Ahead on Free for All, the SMU men's basketball team needing a win to likely guarantee a spot in the NCAA tournament. Would they get it in the ACC tourney as that gets underway? We check it out when we come back. Back on Free for All, we've been talking about a Dallas Stars team extending a streak of excellence tonight, one of the top teams in their league, legitimate championship hopes there. As for the Dallas Mavericks, they're on the opposite end of things. A league-high 7-game losing streak coming into the night, a team in effect hoping to lose games to improve draft position. This evening, they continue a road trip against an Atlanta team that had won 6 straight coming in. Cooper Flagg had a rough shooting night. The rookie was just 6 of 16 from the field, but filled it up, the scoring sheet, all things considered, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. Klay Thompson had 18 of his 21 in the second half, but Atlanta just had too much. Jalen Johnson puts Klay on skates there and scores. He had 27. Atlanta does win a 7th straight, and Dallas loses for an 8th time in a row. The Mavericks back home to host Cleveland on Friday. College basketball now. To those of us of a certain age, it still seems strange to see SMU and Syracuse playing in an ACC tournament basketball game, but that was the case today for the Mustang men playing Syracuse in a first-round conference tourney game. Widely thought that with a win, SMU would solidify its invitation to the big dance when the NCAA field is announced Sunday. 19 wins overall for SMU coming into this one, and the Mustangs against Syracuse and Charlotte today. As usual, Boopie Miller leading the way with a dynamic guard with the 3 here. 6-point Mustang lead early second half. Then Jaron Pierre, the 3 ball. He had 21. Lead is 14. Miller led the way with 25. He tried the lob. That didn't work, so he stays with it. Eventually does get the bucket on the fadeaway. Miller and the Mustangs get that 20th win of the year, likely getting them into the NCAA tournament as they advance into round 2 of the ACC tourney, 86-69 over Syracuse. Round 1 of the Big 12 men's tournament in Kansas City. Baylor meeting Arizona State. First half, Caden Powell for the Jam. Baylor, though, down 6. Second half, Baylor trying to stay in it. Dan Skillins Jr. to Powell, who rises for the Jam. Baylor would be down by 9. Arizona State puts it away later in the second. Odom splitting defenders, hitting the floater. 83-79. Baylor gets knocked out of the Big 12 tournament in round 1. Their season likely over as they fall to 16-16 overall. We're back after this. Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Rangers in Arizona. Exhibition start against the White Sox, and he looks sharp. The big right-hander working 3 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts in those 3 innings of work. Another key piece of the Ranger puzzle delivering today. Corey Seager with his first home run of the spring, 3-run shot. Smith and Duran also homering for Texas as the Rangers beat the White Sox 8-3. Rangers now 10-8 in the spring. World Baseball Classic. Italy up on the U.S. 8-5 in the 9th right now. The Americans at risk of losing for the first time in this tournament, which runs through March 17th. The final 1 week from tonight right here at Fox 4. We're back in a moment.
Texas.
Viewer poll with Rantanen and Hintz out. Who needs to fill the offensive void for the Stars? Robo wins the viewer poll tonight. Just about everybody stepping up for the Stars right now. They win again. They beat Vegas 2-1 tonight on Fox 4. Thanks for watching. Last Call with Steve Noviello underway. We'll join it right now.
So it's still in your car. It's
in the back seat with the ornaments on.
Oh, that's smart.
I love that because you are so beautifully put together every time I see you, and the idea that you have a filthy car kind of makes me feel better about myself.
The dog hair is bad.
Fun fact about Peyton, she cannot travel on Uber. Sorry.
Because of
I can't say now.
She's been banned.
I can only do Lyft. I've been banned from Uber due to like college activities.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a topic for when you. That's a fun fact for when you come back. Okay. Stephanie Holman, how's your car?
Right now, it's good. I feel like the older my kids get, the better it looks. When my kids were little, true story.